monster inside of me. You better watch out if your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me, and he gets claws real big, gets off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score, never getting bored. That's the blood and gold. Always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of body. And if you start shit, you be hard-lived in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped. You be chewed up and discarded.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. When there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push the mind to a limit where it needs to feed. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and let's get this beautiful weekend started. It's not going to be really beautiful for a lot of people because they got all this chaos and anger inside of them, and it's paid anger, it's paid protest, it's staged, it's all staged. These are actors that are out there that are projecting all this negativity to get something stirred up, and people get emotional and try to drag in other people into the mess so there could be more collateral damage. um it's sad to see, but we gotta see it anyways because you know what, it's my Mind or Your Matter and we're gonna watch all of it. So we got a lot of videos to watch for tonight. I got a really good lineup. There might be an add-on or two. We'll see how the show goes. So without further ado, let's get right to it. I gotta set this up real quick because you know how StreamYard is. They always shit up, and it always happens, but it's okay. Here we go.
That we are now following. We want to bring this to you here on Live Now from Fox. For the first time, we've obtained new video footage. I'm going to put this up on your screen from Fox News as they put this on their X account, saying cell phone video obtained by Fox News is now showing deadly Minneapolis ICE shooting from the perspective of the agent who was struck by that vehicle. We
Oh,
have
gotta
it for
see
you
that.
here. I do want to remind you that viewer discretion is
Oh
advised
boy,
as you're watching this. I'm going to play it out for you in full so you can hear the audio on the clip as well. Let's listen in.
I bet he's gonna be bad.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former.
What the hell? So here comes the
You want to
officer.
come at us? I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy.
What the hell is wrong with her? She goes, her opens the car. Oh shit! Oh, I would have shot her too.
All right,
Oh
so we
my
did want to
god.
play that out for you with all of the audio. Those were just the few moments
Oh my
seemingly right
god.
before that deadly shooting took place. And so, of
I
course,
haven't
we are
seen this
still
video
watching.
yet.
As we know, tensions are rising as those
Oh,
state
you see?
leaders
Yeah, I
are
would have
voicing
shot the fuck out
concern
of her
over the
too. Like I
FBI's
said, I would have
exclusion
gone
of the Minnesota
boom, boom,
Bureau
boom,
of
boom.
Criminal Apprehension from that investigation into the shooting death of Renee Good by the
Oh,
ICE
what's up,
agent.
Albie?
That ICE agent has since been
Happy Friday.
identified, and we do know and
It's time to
heard
smoke.
from several of those leaders there in the state,
This is
including Tim
crazy.
Walz, calling for more transparency in this investigation. Of
You
course, the
don't
Trump
see the
administration has
officer
since
got hit
come
by the
out and
car.
defended the actions of that ICE agent, labeling Renee Good as a domestic terrorist. We heard that
Yeah,
from the
she
press
is.
conference that Vice President J.D. Vance
She went there
held inside
purposely
of the
to
White House
interfere.
briefing room.
And look at
But once
her
again, this is what we're now
girlfriend,
seeing. New cell phone video
boyfriend. I don't know
showing
what it is.
moments
It's a
before
girl.
that
She's a
deadly
lesbian.
shooting appearing to be taken by the ICE
So she
agent's
should be arrested
perspective
too.
there, right before Renee
She
Good
should be
is
arrested
shot and
too.
eventually
And
crashes
because
her
of
car
her,
after that shooting.
her
And so one
wife,
more
whatever
time
she
here,
wants to call her, is
I'm going to play
dead.
the video out in full
That's so
with the
fucked
audio
up.
as well. Let's listen.
Listen to this.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S.
That's
citizen,
stupid.
former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I
You
said
want
go
to
get
come at
yourself
us?
some lunch, big boy. Go
What
ahead.
the fuck?
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Oh my god, she hit the cop.
And so that's
Oh
the full
yeah, I would have
audio
shot her
and video
too.
there. That is the newly
Oh, I
obtained
would have
footage
shot.
showing
Mm.
and hearing the moments before that shooting. We
See,
wanted to
these
make sure we brought
Democrats
that to you
are
here
very
on
quick
Live Now from
judgment.
Fox.
You know what
In
I
the
mean?
meantime, I want to take you out to a live vantage point we have as we are still seeing these protests growing in the city of Minneapolis in just these hours and days after this deadly shooting took place. Right
That is
now, you can see those
fucking
protesters gathering
stupid of
outside
her
of
to
the
do.
federal building. Let's see if
What
we
an
can listen in
idiot,
here for
man.
just a moment.
For what? You shouldn't be out there harassing ICE. I hope all these people, I hope they tag all their cell phones. They need to tag their cell phones and send them a bill.
All
Send
right, and
them
so
a
weren't
ticket,
able to
send
dump the
them some
audio
kind of
there, but
fee
again, we
for
want to remind you
interfering.
that whenever we
Send
take
them
some of
like a
these protests
$200
live,
fee,
that
and
the
every
viewer
time they
discretion is
get
going to be up, as there can
interfered
be
with
vulgar
ICE, it
language or
should
images
increase
on the
by
sign.
200.
But wanted to make
So
sure
your
we
first
brought you
offense
this
is
update
200,
here
second
from
offense is
Minnesota.
400,
Let's slide away
third
for a quick
offense
2-minute commercial
is
break. Stay right here with us.
$1,000, and your fourth offense, you go straight to jail. I think that would be a great idea. What do you guys think? First offense, here, let me make myself big. First offense, $200, right? Second, this will make it $250. Second offense, $500. Third offense, $750. Fourth offense, $1,000, and you get to spend some time in jail. And if you get out of jail and you do it again, you are mandatory to serve 1 year in prison, in federal prison. So you're getting chances. And we're just doing like 250, 500, 750, then hit with 1,000 and jail time, maybe like 30 days in jail and that $1,000 fine. But if you get out and you do it again, you spend automatically 1 year in jail, in federal jail. And then if you get out and do it again, guess what? 5 years in jail. And you're just going to continue to increase. Since you don't know how to learn, like you don't learn your lesson, well, guess what? The lesson is going to be taught to you. Oh boy, these people are fucking crazy. What the fuck is going on in this world, man? I'm telling you, 2020. I did I lie or did I not lie? Did I predict this? That is going to be fucking chaos in 2026. I told you guys it's going to be like this, and guess what? It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. You think this is bad? This is nothing compared to what's coming. This is nothing. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump on to the next video. Oh, Fox News.
We begin this hour watching Minnesota and Portland, Oregon, protesting in some cases in those areas turning violent, not free speech, but all out chaos. And in Minneapolis, it's following the ICE-involved shooting. The victim there we're learning more about, known as a far-left activist with some ties to some interesting people and groups. Portland, Oregon, 2 shootings overnight. I should say 2 people shot overnight, tied to Trinidad Aragua, according to the Department of Homeland Security. We will get into all of it this hour. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Things got pretty ugly in Minnesota last night.
Oh my God, drag him back.
Oh my
Agents
God.
arrested at least 12 people there last night, and calling them protesters
Yeah.
at this point. Let's move into
This is
agitators,
stupid.
and if they prove crimes against
This
them, we'll
is
call them
stupid.
criminals.
Learn
Agents were forced to use
to
tear gas and
choose your
pepper
battles
balls to
wisely.
disperse
And
the
this is a
agitators.
stupid.
And tensions are also high around the investigation into that shooting.
What they're doing
State officials are
is
now urging the federal government
idiotic.
to let
How the
them
hell
be
they
part of
continue
the
to do
road.
this?
They were, but the federal government has jurisdiction. Now the feds are arguing Minnesota does not have that legal jurisdiction. They don't. Here's Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry.
No, they don't, because it's federal.
You got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it. Include
This guy's an
local
idiot.
experts in the process. We got nothing to hide from here. All we want in Minneapolis is justice and the truth.
And of course, before he could go further,
Yeah.
he had to explain why he was
before
dropping bombs and
you
promised
make
not to
your
make any more. But he
stupid
wants us to find
comments,
experts.
you
I
should
hope he doesn't
watch the
consider himself
evidence.
one. Well, just into Fox now, brand
You're
new
a fucking
video from the
idiot, man.
Daily Mail. Watch this closely. I've only seen it once, right before we came to air. Their reporting shows the woman killed, Renee Nicole
This
Good,
officer coming
was
across.
already blocking the road for 4
Whoa,
minutes
she did hit
before
him.
that confrontation with
Hit him
ICE
in the right
agents.
and the left leg.
She was doing so that
Right there,
her wife
boom.
could leap out of the car to begin filming, which we know she was continuing to do throughout this whole thing. We're also
Wow.
learning more about the woman whom agents killed in that shooting. Sources saying that Nicole Renee
Warrior
Good
of
was
the
an
left. She's
immigration
no fucking
activist
warrior. She's a
who was
fucking
part of a
idiot of the
left-wing
left.
group that would monitor and interfere with
She
federal
put
immigration
idiot
enforcement
warrior
operations. In
of the
fact,
left.
on the ground that very afternoon this week, you could hear the
Idiot,
whistle blowing.
man.
It's something that they're known to do so that they can tell the neighborhood that ICE agents are in the
Hey,
area.
Chloe.
Former acting
How you
Homeland
doing?
Security
Happy Friday.
Secretary Chad Wolf is coming
Are
up
you
with
out
me in
dashing
focus.
tonight?
Before that, Fox team
I'm pretty
coverage.
sure you are.
Christina
It's
Coleman
Friday.
in Portland with more on the arrest there. Yes, and then first, Alexis McAdams in Minneapolis with the latest
Oh,
there.
Chloe,
Alexis.
I'm gonna put in my order next week
Hi, Harris. Well, you've been seeing it on your screen.
because my
Yesterday, we
birthday's on the
checked in with you in
21st.
front of the
So
federal
I'm gonna
building where
put
there
in the
were all
order
those
next week. Okay.
protesters. We're expecting
So
more
it gives you
again
time
tonight
to
and
like
counting.
send it.
And as you
Okay.
said, the mayor here in Minneapolis didn't drop an
I
F-bomb
got you,
today, but
girl.
he didn't tell people not to, act out, because we've seen it where they're spitting and fighting with these federal agents. So
But
I
it
want to
is
see
my
what's going to
birthday
happen
gift for
again
myself.
today. This comes as it's almost as if on the ground, Harris, the
And it's from
state
Chloe,
and the
so you
local
know it's gonna be
officials are watching a
fucking like
completely
good.
different video clip
Like
than the feds, because
I
the
have
city
good energy
officials
from
say it's
Chloe.
murder, the feds say it was justified, but it led to those protests. And also this picture that we're going to show you too on your screen. So this is Renee Nicole Good. We're learning that she was an activist,
She's
according
good.
to
I think
DHS
she's
sources
bad.
who tell me
She's
she
a
was part
bad,
of this
bad
group
one.
called
She's
ICE
dead.
Watch. And we heard about it in other places,
All
not just
because of her
Minnesota. These people go out,
stupidity.
they call themselves legal observers, but they're not just observing, according to the feds.
They're
Renee
interfering.
Nicole Good was using her car as a weapon, according to the federal prosecutors. They say she hit an agent with her car, and investigators say it's just so cold, sorry, say that she was with this group that monitors, tracks, interferes, and are against all federal immigration enforcement. Listen to this.
This individual, the subject in question, the deceased, had
They should not have been
following
blocking.
our law enforcement throughout the day, stalking them. At the time of this incident, our law enforcement was outside of their vehicle, trying to get their vehicle out of the snow, when she started blocking our law enforcement, harassing them, impeding lawful operations on the ground.
And then it would kind of ebb and flow when it comes to the ongoing protests, because they hear those city officials saying something, act out, put your body in the line, whatever they're telling these people to do. They're setting up encampments that were cleared this morning.
Actually, I gotta
But
grab
they
my
faced
phone. I
off
gotta
with
check
federal
it
agents,
yesterday,
Harris. Some
Chloe.
of them spat on people.
Wait,
They
if you
fought with them.
want,
This
can
is
you
what we
put
saw. Watch.
the link to your site in the chat? I have it on my phone. I'm gonna go grab
And
it
if
in
that
a
wasn't
second.
enough, some
Actually,
people
I'm gonna
thought
grab
that
it
they
right
were
now.
going to block these agents from leaving the federal building. So they
Let
jumped
me
on
get
their
it.
cars. One of them tried to smack off the side rear view mirror. And some of them got arrested, because whether you like these federal officials or not, or you have questions, you can't attack federal agents. So back out here live. The last thing too that I really think could be the big part of the story, Harris, is that the White House and federal investigators are looking into who funds these ICE watch groups, who trains these people to tell them, hey, show up here, get in the middle of an ICE ongoing operation. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
That's
Yeah, and we're
stupid.
also hearing reports about people who are wearing yellow vests who look like they're official on the streets, but they're not. And that's what's helping out those blockades like what we saw in South Minneapolis. Hydrate, stay warm. I was covering on the streets of Minnesota a lot. I know how cold it can get, my friend. Great reporting. Thank you.
It is. Thank you.
After I'm done eating? Okay. After I'm done eating. Yay!
Hundreds of agitators in Portland, Oregon last night. Maybe they showed up to protest. Maybe some of them could, but then it turned into that. And now border agents have shot 2 suspected criminal illegal immigrants because they're there on a mission to get those people, and they did. Officers say they arrested 6 people during all the chaos of the protesting against them doing their jobs. DHS is sharing more details about that particular incident. And the driver, allegedly a member of the violent Venezuelan gang Nicaragua, so they knew that. And the passenger was affiliated with the transnational prostitution ring. That's who they were looking for. Agents say the pair tried to run them over. Despite that violence, Portland's mayor had harsh words against law enforcement.
Yes, there's going to be an add-on.
There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. That is why we're calling on ICE.
I'm in your website right now,
operations
Chloe.
in Portland.
I'm gonna
Until a
check it
full
out.
and independent investigation
See
can
if you
take
added
place.
in anything.
So would that mean that the Portland mayor, Keith Wilson, is actually wanting to defend and protect the illegal aliens who are doing further crimes, violent crimes in our country? It's a question for him. Christina Coleman is in Portland now with more. Christina.
Hi, Harris. Yes, DHS says the driver of that suspect vehicle was believed to be a member of TDA, that vicious Venezuelan gang. Authorities say after the shooting, he fled the scene and called 911 for help. Take a listen to the dispatch audio.
Police are en route. It looks like caller saying that he was shot twice by ICE and his wife was shot as well. We have a male who was shot twice in the arm and his wife who was shot in the chest. Your talk group is going to be Alpha 1. Stand by for additional dispatch.
DHS identified both suspects in this case as criminal illegal aliens from Venezuela who were released into the country under the Biden administration since 2022. They say since then, the driver was arrested for DUI and authorized use. Say the woman has played TDA. Get more details on her.
The target a
Both suspects were injured in the shooting. Their conditions are unknown at this time. There are no reports of any injuries. On for a lot of a hospital in Southeast Portland. DHS says the shooting happened after Border Patrol agents carried out that targeted vehicle stop. They said in part, quote, when agents identified themselves, the driver attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. Fearing for his life and his safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. Local leaders held a press conference after the shooting. Portland's Democratic mayor is calling on ICE to stop all operations in the city until a full and independent investigation into the incident takes place. And the governor also supports the mayor's request.
Our community deserves answers. Our community deserves accountability. And most of all, our community deserves peace. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents.
The ICE facility, there were scuffles between some of them and law enforcement. Six of them for various charges, including riot, disorder, conduct, and interfering. This is where
There in Portland, and give me your top line thoughts on how this is unfolding.
Well, it's not unsurprising. I mean, Portland is a little bit of a mess. They have been. They will come out. The agitators, the violent opportunists, they come out at a moment's notice, and they will do all sorts of things, not only to federal buildings but to other buildings there. But look, for the mayor of Portland to come out and basically lay blame on law enforcement again,
and Philadelphia too, from what I heard,
blue city mayors that don't want to talk about the criminal illegal aliens in their communities, but only want to talk about law enforcement. So in Portland, you have a TDA affiliate, involved with prostitution. You have a TDA gang member who's driving. They obviously are not paying attention to ICE or their commands, and obviously are trying to abscond. Instead, the mayor comes out and says, "These are the people I want to protect." Right? He's asking.
Oh, I opened a pack today, Chloe.
Operations. What he is saying is that for any TDA member
do a pack a day
in the city of Portland, you're now safe.
To spread it out. They got a lot of
that
packs.
That is his message. It's an insane message, and it's
I'm
absolutely
and I got a hit today.
But the Trump administration is obviously not going to back down.
The
They're going to continue operations there in Portland,
you guys know
Minneapolis,
first,
and around the country.
Look,
I'll let you know what I got.
One of my colleagues, Griff Jenkins, and I were talking right before we went on air here, and he said, Harris, and this is from his great reporting.
I got a good card
consider
today.
this: prior to 2022, there was not a single record of a Trinidad gang member being apprehended at the southern border under Joe Biden as president.
I'm so happy with my cards.
By TDA and at least 19 states.
I got one of my cards that is my favorite.
Is attempting to clean up that dangerous mess. Your quick reaction to that?
The Biden individuals come across that border, and we have been saying for some time that the United States and Americans, you're going to feel the consequences for years to come. And the Trump administration is trying to deal with that. They're trying to remove thousands or more criminal illegal aliens from the streets. Just there in Minneapolis, over 1,000 criminal aliens have been removed off the street. Sorry, in Minnesota, in the entire state. These are rapists. These are pedophiles. These are murderers. These are the types of individuals that ICE is apprehending in all of these cities. But yet, in blue city after blue city, these are the people that the mayors are going out and we want ICE to stop because
I can't wait to display them here.
Look, I'm going to borrow your word. You said agitator. You also said violent opportunist. In Minneapolis, a violent opportunist got physical with Border Patrol Chief Agent Greg Bovino. Remember, he showed up. Border Patrol's there to protect the backs of those ICE agents after one of them apparently get rammed into by a car by a woman who's now deceased. It's the latest example in an alarming spike in attacks against law enforcement involved in President Trump's immigration
See this right here.
The
Look.
Department of Homeland Security is
They
claiming
threw a rock to the vehicle. Look.
against ICE are up 3,200%
Crazy, man.
since President Trump took office. Overall, assaults are
Look,
up by
all those
more
people
than
should be thrown in jail.
1,300%. If anybody has a doubt that the
And then they
rhetoric
bitch and whine when they die.
that all of the
Right?
threats
All the people start
is
bitching
making
and
a
whining when
difference or
one of
not
theirs
making a difference, it
die. But when
definitely
an
is in the
officer
wrong
dies,
direction.
they don't give a fuck.
ICE is in trouble.
It's fucked up, man. Humanity is so fucked up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like,
I know
we
you
now
would.
live in a world where individuals in across the country, mainly on the left, think it's okay to block law enforcement, think it's okay to evade arrest, think it's okay to drive a vehicle into law enforcement. And we would not put up with that in any other case, any other law enforcement agency around this country. We would never put up with that. And yet you have the far left and mayors and governors and others saying, well, ICE needs to do better. ICE is at fault here. That is not the case. They are law enforcement. They are fulfilling a mission, enforcing immigration law, and they need our support. But more importantly, all of these agitators, the violent opportunists, anyone that wants to do violence against ICE, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent. We need to make an example out of these folks. Otherwise, this is just going to continue.
Yeah, and make no doubt about it, if ICE is in trouble, that just means more law enforcement. Because the president's not going to let a situation fold in where we don't have law and order. He ran on that. He meant it the first time and the second time, and the American people agreed, a majority. Look, I want to talk about what happens with TDA. You mentioned a mission by the left. What about a mission by the terrorists? And I call them that. They're gang members, but they're terrorizing in some of these communities. Look at Aurora, Colorado. What happens if the law enforcement steps back? Have these communities even game that part out?
Right. Well, that's just it. I mean, TDA, as well as several others, have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations. So they're in Portland. And again, I go back to the mayor making comments where he wants ICE to retreat. What he is saying is that he is now welcoming a foreign terrorist organization into the city of Portland, and he wants to protect them. That is his message. We need to be very clear about that. That is his message when he's asking law enforcement to take a step back. It's ridiculous. President Trump, I know, and others are not going along with that. They're going to protect all Americans because the vast majority of Americans are on President Trump's side. They want criminal illegal aliens and those that don't have a legal right to be here removed.
You've been watching
from
the videos?
They've been very
I've been putting out a lot of shorts. Every day I'm putting in shorts.
You're going to continue to see these left
I got to increase
blue
my
state mayors
count,
and governors
which
try
has
to
been going
continue
up.
to protect them.
Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf with me today. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered.
Emily Campagno. All right, let's bring it back to me. Yeah, Chloe, I was checking out your site. You got a lot of beautiful stuff there, for sure. But the chaos and the craziness that's going on, which is I think is paid chaos. It's not organic. You know what I mean? Because if it was organic, like you could tell the difference. These people are like something happens, and then literally like in half an hour, you got signs up in the air. Oh, fuck ICE and all this crazy shit that they're doing and to disrupt. That's all they're doing. They're disrupting. They're trying to, but unsuccessfully, they're trying to get the attention away from what's truly going on, and that's the biggest fraud in American history that's happening in Minnesota. And it's not only Minnesota, to be honest with you, it's like the whole, like, America, every state has really horrible fraud. And there's like a lot, I mean, so much fraud that I see that it pretty much, like, the deficit that we have, it will probably be cut in half. That's how bad the fraud is in America. Ain't that wild? That is so crazy. That is so, like, when we're gonna bring accountability back, you know? Like, make accountability great again. I don't think the Democrats, they never hold themselves accountable for anything. You know, if it's something good, they take the credit. But if they do something bad, they deflect. They're like, no, no, we did no, it didn't happen that way. It happened this way, and it's only this way, and that's all you're gonna get. Like, that doesn't work here, man. That's communistic thinking. Not good. Not good for the brain. Not good for, like, at all. I'm pretty sure these Democrats, man, they're losing brain cells like rapidly, and they're making stupid decisions that are very costly, and life, like, your life is on the line. Like, why are you following? Like, you don't have anything else better to do but to follow ICE. Like, that's, and then they're saying that they getting paid for to do that. They're getting paid to follow ICE and to disrupt ICE. How the fuck is that legal? It's not legal. So why these people continue doing it, and why these people are not being arrested for interference? You know what I mean? It's just like, we need a mass, like, we need more agents. We need more agents out on the field, and we need more, like, of these people being arrested. If they know these people are going to be there, and they're listening in, and they're out there protesting as ICE is doing their operation, there should be like a paddy wagon, like a big, maybe, school bus, and get all these officers to come out and arrest all of them for interference. That's the way you're going to have to stop this. You're going to have to start arresting all these clowns that are out there protesting and doing other, oh, it's my free speech. No, it's not. Protesting is not truly free speech. Protesting, listen, from back in the days, this is how I remember protesting was that you had to get a permit to go protest. Like, you have to have a date, time, and location, and you had to submit it to the city, and then they would give you a permit, and then you could do the protest. That's how it works. But now it's like, you could just jump yourself in the middle of the street and protest. How the fuck is that legal? I like. I don't know. But let's keep it moving. We got some more to watch. Let's put the volume on this.
Details now on two major news stories we're following. Let's begin with the unrest expected today in Minneapolis. We've seen a little bit there. The weather may be pushing back on that. It's severely cold right now. We're learning more about the woman who
I was spraying with water,
allegedly trying to ram an ICE agent with her vehicle. And tensions are also rising in Portland, Oregon, as border agents there fired defensive shots while investigating two people who were both believed to have ties to Venezuelan terror gang Tren de Aragua. Similar to Minneapolis, the driver there apparently tried to ram ICE agents on the scene with his car. We've seen this now 100 times.
They're ramming them with the cars, and officers are responding back by shooting at them.
The passenger were injured in the event, but their conditions were not immediately clear.
But these Democrats love to jump to conclusion without first reviewing all the evidence.
Here with my co-host Emily Campagno. Also joining us today, Donna Rotuno, Fox News contributor, criminal defense attorney, and co-host of the weekly Rap Sheet on Fox Nation. Tommy Lahren is here, co-host of the Big Weekend Show, and the host of Tommy Lahren is Fearless, of course she is, on Outkick. And Dr. Mark Siegel, also fearless. Fox News senior medical analyst, professor of medicine at NYU Langone Health, and the author of the brand new bestseller, New York Times bestseller, The Miracles Among Us, How God's Grace Plays Role in healing. Well, let's jump right in here, Emily. And I want to go to that news conference that happened this morning. And talk to me about how the law works when the mayor of the city was cussing. That's not illegal. We're talking all about how it
That's
was
not
a
illegal, but
murder
I
and
mean, the
setting the
FCC could censor
scene and
him
doing the whole thing.
and fine
But
him
now
for
says you're not
cursing
allowed
in public
to
airways.
prejudge.
And look, I don't want to
I know
conflate topics today.
you do
But
get
right
fined by
now,
the
Luigi
FCC.
Mangione has some motions up for adjudication in the same city that we're sitting in. And the arguments presented by his defense were exactly that point. They claimed that the administration came out publicly and said certain damning things, tainting a potential jury pool and tainting
That's what I
the
said
objective
yesterday.
neutrality of the proceedings.
Exactly
and so
what I
now,
said
fast
yesterday.
forward to yesterday in
And that's what
Minnesota.
the mayor
whole
did
point is we're
yesterday.
seeing this again.
He tainted
So
the jury
in the
pool.
same breath, we have these elected officials there in Minneapolis, the leadership, I use quotes because they're anything but, and they're using in such inflammatory rhetoric. And when called upon, when pressed upon it, by the way, the mayor had, I think, the gall to respond and say, all I did was drop an F-bomb, but ICE killed someone.
He's a fucking
Doubling
idiot.
down that no one's talking about your use of profanity, sir. What we are talking about is the rush to judgment and the public vilification of ICE that he says is sowing chaos, disruption, murder, killing, et cetera, et cetera. Too many quotes that we can't even fill, or that an hour's not enough to use to quote him and the governor there, that have absolutely laid a blanket of tone across the whole United States. And by the way, for them seeking to have their jurisdiction over it, to have the state weigh in and have their own investigation, why should anyone trust their objectivity when clearly the people they're reporting to are so obviously biased?
But Donna, do we need their trust? I mean, do we need them as part of this? I mean, this is a federal investigation. Are they right or wrong? They say they have jurisdiction, but do they?
They really don't. They don't have any real standing. This is an issue that took place between a federal law enforcement officer. This is an investigation that will happen by the federal government. And therefore, the state really doesn't have any standing unless they were to find that there are state charges that they can bring. But in this case, this is not their officer. This is an officer that works for the federal government. And if you look back to the George Floyd situation, which obviously this all brings up that, terrible time, that was a Minnesota police officer. So that's why the state jurisdiction took over. Even though there was a federal prosecution separate and apart, this is different. This is a federal agent.
I want to go a different way with you, Tommy. The organization on the ground and what we're finding out about this woman who was shot and killed by ICE agents as she was allegedly ramming one of them with her car. We know he was injured, so there's that part. What about these far left groups? I mean, this woman reportedly now we know was part of that group. So is her wife.
Right. Well, how did we get here, right? For a decade or more, the left has been sending out its foot soldiers to do exactly this, whether it's antagonizing regular law enforcement, ICE agents, Border Patrol, it doesn't matter. This has always been the goal, to stalk, to harass, to antagonize, to assault in some cases. And then they always have somebody with a phone, in my opinion, because they want to provoke some kind of an interaction. They want to sow chaos, and they want these officers or these agents to react so they can get it on their cell phone, so they can put it all over social media, so they can demonize law enforcement at large. Now, this obviously went much further, and it's tragic anytime a life is lost. I don't think that this woman bargained for what she got, but you don't put your vehicle in that position. You don't hit the gas. You don't resist law enforcement. You don't disobey law enforcement. If you want to protest and you want to disagree with the immigration law, the lawful immigration laws being enforced, then you go to your politicians, you go to your representatives, or you stand on the sidewalk and you have a sign and you scream and you yell. That's fine. You do not impede a law enforcement action and then turn around and call it murder when you try to ram your car into an ICE agent out there doing their job. Why are you there? Why does the left want these people there? Why do they want their people to be martyred in the streets is my question.
It's a great question. And look, I'm glad you went there with actually the preamble to all of this, because now we know. We showed on the Focus last hour that this woman was in her car for 4 minutes ahead of this incident that happened, blocking federal agents from doing what they were trying to do. They were
blocking
trying
them
to carry out a mission that they had in that block, in that area of South Minneapolis, 34th and Portland. And so she had been there, and they had been trying to tell her to get out of the way. And you see it pull into view 4 minutes later, those agents still with her, trying to, you know, we need for you to get out of the car. We need for you to do this. And then, of course, we know what happened next. It's all on video.
Not to mention
Couple
all
of
of the
these
reports
big
that she had a long history of this type of thing with ICE agents, with her background in instigating and assaulting or at least verbally assaulting ICE agents. That the background.
nice.
I can't outdo anything with these great lawyers on this couch, how they set this up, that A, it's a federal issue. And Emily was just amazing about how we can't be doing trials on this woman, you know, before she gets to court. Well, she's gone, but I mean, this whole situation has to be litigated, not by the left on the streets, causing tremendous rioting. This is the mistake that's been made before. This is the mistake that was made with George Floyd. This is the mistake that's being made here.
And they keep making
It's really dangerous.
mistakes.
I want to make one more point, and this is the point you and I always make, Harris, which is the mental health issue of what the ICE agents go through here. I mean, President Trump's trying to clean up the situation and get illegals out of the country before more crimes are committed. Detention centers are filling now. Over 60,000 illegals in detention centers, 30,000 under Biden. And he's trying to do exporting. He's trying to deport people out of the country. And ICE is trying to do justice here in this country. And they have tremendous mental health problems as a result of it, which spreads to their families.
Stress.
And instead, they're under attack by the left.
Yeah.
Harris, can I emphasize something? And Donna, keep me honest here about this. But things can morph into something very different very quickly, and we know this. This is why, in part, we have the felony murder rule, right? Something, no, we're just trying to rob a bank. When then someone gets murdered, well, that becomes a homicide. My point in bringing this up is we heard the officers order that person to get out of the car. Stop, get out of the car. That meant it was a temporary investigative detention. That meant she was not free to leave.
Yeah.
So when people are
Exactly.
sort of couching this and continue to keep it rest as a protester, it was anything but in that moment. Now, again, that doesn't, you know, there are then more things that occurred, and fleeing is not legally justified or is not a sole legal justification for killing. But again, all of the imminent threat stuff that we've been talking about is, but my point is that all of a sudden it graduated into a very different scenario. So regardless of this person's background or history or intention, even 30 seconds prior, in that instant, it was a subject that was not free to leave. She was being temporarily detained, and in her attempts to flee, put a lot of people in imminent harm. And that's the bottom line.
Including her wife and all the people on the sidewalk behind her as she reached her car in reverse like a slingshot and went forward. I mean,
ice.
Like icy conditions.
Yes.
And just this
Yeah,
one,
they were
too.
flipping.
Those previous 4 moments were why the federal agents, well, they are law enforcement, that's the reason why they were telling her to stop. That's the reason why she was in, you know, kind of hot water already before anything happened. Donna.
They were trying to de-escalate. That was the whole point of this. They were trying to de-escalate. And you have to remember that anytime somebody makes a choice, there's going to be a reaction. And she made a lot of choices that day. She made a choice to go out there to begin with. She made a choice to try to block traffic. She made a choice to disobey orders. And then when she goes to make the choice to drive away and actually makes contact with the officer, what choice does he have at that point? And I think
I would have shot her too.
And people have gotten so crazy about the evaluation of this that they're not willing to just look at the logical, factual history of what happened. And when we have the ability to defend yourself as a right to do so for a reason. And he had the ability to do that. And he was put in imminent fear and followed what you should do in that situation. They didn't pull out a gun and start shooting at her while they were telling her to get out of the car. This was a situation where this car is coming at him. We all see the video.
And it started moments, but I mean,
Sure
4
did.
minutes before.
Yes.
I mean, and they were already trying to, as you put it, de-escalate.
Yes.
They were doing their jobs.
Correct.
And the one agent who sticks his arm in the window as the car starts to move. I mean, this could have been more dangerous than it turned out to be. It's horrible. And I agree with you, Tommy. No matter how it is, it's a tragedy that her decisions, this woman's, have helped to lead to this moment. I mean, that to lose your life in that way is horrible. And there were decisions that were poor and put a whole lot of people in danger. For
And why does the left keep asking their foot soldiers to do this?
No.
Why are they putting them in
Great
danger?
question.
By fomenting this just
Rhetoric.
spitting at the mouth response, you're putting more people in danger. Why do you not care about your own protesters on the street is my question.
And then using this as an instigation for even more, for expansion of it.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday.
Okay, Emily. Okay, we know already. We know the drill. All right, let's bring it to me for a sec. Do a little housekeeping here. Just make sure we got everything here lined up properly for tonight's show. So that's why I'm just going to review this real quick. And I think we got a really good show for tonight. I hope you guys are doing good tonight. It's Friday night and I feel all right. I'm feeling all right. I took my medicine because it's raining out here right now, and it was hurting all day today. I even took a nap. Like, I took like a 2 hour nap because I was feeling so horrible. Like yesterday, I wasn't feeling that good, and last night I didn't like sleep that good. It's because when rain comes, I start feeling horrible. I start like hurting. My back starts hurting. My whole body starts hurting, and my neck, and it's all in my spine. And I have a lot of arthritis in my spine, so I'm gonna be fucked in the future. So just to let you know. But I went. I saw the physical therapist today. This is a medical report. This is all about me now. So it's all about me. And I was told by the therapist because she did some tests on me and some moving around and noticed, and I had this problem for a while, but I think it's gonna have to be corrected this year, and it has to do with my hip and my left knee. I have issues with my left. I think the left side of my hip is just, and especially the inside of the hip, has been causing me to have problems with my lower back, and my left knee. I have issues with it. I've been having issues with it for a few years, but it's getting to the point that it's getting worse, and it has to do with the meniscus. So I'm not sure if it's not the ACL, but it's definitely the meniscus. And I may this year. I just may pull the trigger and do the surgery, and that's gonna sideline me. It's gonna take anywhere between 4 to 6 months to recover from that type of surgery. Especially with me, it might take a little longer because it's just I have other fucking elements going on, and that's definitely gonna slow me down for a while. I may be able to still do my show, probably from my bed. I'm gonna do it from my bed. I'm gonna be laying down, and I'm just gonna sit like I'm gonna be like this, and then just do the show. I think that would be so fucking cool if I did that. I did it from my bed. Like I'll do it in a ways that it will look so fucking cool. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I had to recuperate, and I want to keep doing the show. As much as I tug a war with this show, whether to do it or not, I still do it because it goes into the archives. It gets recorded, so it's always going to be in YouTube history. And for the people in the future that watch, they're going to realize, holy shit, what the fuck has been going on? Like, it's all documented, you know? And it's not only me doing this, there's other people doing it, you know? I just don't have the audience because YouTube already suppressed me a long time ago. The only people that I have on this pretty much is by word of mouth, and the lot of new people that are coming through um, basically are coming through because I have the Pokemon on the shorts that every day I'm opening a pack of Pokemon until I get my chase card. The chase card, well, I already got one of my chase cards that I wanted, which was I'm not gonna release that one yet. I'm not gonna tell you guys, but I did get it, and I was like super happy. I was really excited, and but there's a couple of more that I would like. I would like to get the ultimate hit one, the Mega Charizard XEX, I believe it is their special illustration rare, the SIR, the Mega Charizard EX. It's that one's it's expensive. It's like raw. The card raw selling it's like $520 or something like that. And if you get it graded, it could be worth anywhere between like $4,000 or $5,000 for a card. And I hope I could get it. If listen, a man can hope, right? Anyone can hope for things, and in the universe, they tend to provide, especially if you manifest it. So I would love to get that chase card and to get a gold card too. I would like to get that Mega Charizard gold, but any type of gold card will do for me. And I'm gonna do a binder, and I'm gonna try to do a master set. My own personal set, and put it together. And it's not even for me. In reality, it's for my niece because she's 4 years old right now. She don't know what the fuck that's about. But when she gets older, she's gonna get into it, and I know she is because I'm a psychic and I see stuff before it happens. And then when she gets older, I'm gonna give her my collection, and she could sell it, and it'll help her either with school or help her buy the vehicle that she wants. And I'll let her mother decide the vehicle, which is my sister. Um, Economical, nothing too flashy. Um, a 4-door, sedan, or something economical that could get her, here and there, and not have to spend so much in gas, and so forth. So they're already thinking about the future with her. You know what I mean? So, and I just want her to, have that sense of freedom that she has transportation, and that I'll be looking out for her no matter what, and I'll be helping her out in the future. And she's gonna be if I'm alive then, and like let's say 15 years from now, if I'm still alive, she'll be right. We could put her maybe somewhere back here, somewhere next to me, and she'll be filling in. I'll have her do the show because I know she's gonna be very special. I already could tell. She has those eyes, and I already know those eyes because I had those eyes. And we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for her. But it's gonna be, I'm gonna be not hovering, but I'm gonna be there for her. All right. So with that said, let's go watch some Jason A. Jason A. put some videos out today, so we're gonna watch that right now. So sit tight, get some water, get something to drink. I'll give you a few seconds. If you have your medicine, if you want to smoke your medicine, or if you want to smoke a cigarette or cigar or whatever, go for it. Get your favorite drink if you want. I drink water, but others drink alcohol. Drink your beer. Have a good time. It's Friday night. Let's not fight. Let's have a good time. Let's make it a lovely night. Not a negative, all this negative energy that these left are trying to project. And you could tell that negative, how they're pushing it. And they're suckering people. Like, people with low energy, low vibrations are being sucked into this vortex. And that's what's happening. The Democrats know there's a lot of low energy individuals, and their vibrations are not the highest. And they're latching onto them and latching onto their energy and making them make stupid decisions because they're falling into that trance. They're hypnotized. They are sucked in to that vortex. And I, for one, am not going down that road ever. I got other things to do in my life to be going out there and try to get like interfering in any ICE operations or try to block ICE or go out there and be like, fuck ICE, fuck ICE. What? Like, what? ICE out, ICE out. No. But they paid, these individuals that are out there. There's a lot of them within that protest that are like back here. You see them. There's like maybe these people are paid for. Some of them in there are paid for by possibly, allegedly, from the Soros. And they have all these groups throughout the United States that they give them the green light to go ahead and do these operations, and they're already funded. Like the money's already transferred. And that's how you get these signs made up so quick. They already got printing areas where they go ahead and send them the message. Yeah, make the sign that says this. And they make the signs, and literally in an hour, they'll have enough signs that they could pass it out, and you see them already with their signs, and they're like protesting. It just what Trump needs to do, he needs to follow the money. The United States government needs to like do an internal search and see where this money is coming from that's going to these like radicals, and see who's sponsoring them, see who's paying for the bills and paying these agitators, these paid actors to cause havoc and divide and conquer. But if you notice, it's not a big group. I mean, we're not talking about hundreds of thousands of people. We're just talking about maybe 100, 200 people. What the max it could get, like 300. There's how many people in the United States? Okay. But that's the gaslighting that they put. That's the projected. That's like Hunger Games. Have you seen the movie Hunger Games and you watch the final like 2 of the movies and how they're recording the propaganda? That's what it is. It's all propaganda. And the left are trying to project something that's not really happening. It's just not happening. But what's really happening is like out in Iran, what's going on in Iran right now is crazy. You know what? Before we watch Jason A, let's watch what's going on in Iran, because that's what you call a real I wouldn't say riot, but an uprising. And not only an uprising, but they're trying to change the narrative. They're trying to make it to fit them and for them to prosper, not for the government to, especially over there. It's chaos. It is. It's like mad chaos. So let's go ahead and go straight to that protest. I'm just lining this up now. Okay, here we go.
Protesters have flooded the streets of Iran for nearly 2 weeks. Demonstrations first kicked off late last month after the value of Iran's currency hit a record low. U.S.-based monitoring human rights activist news agency says more than 2,000 people have been arrested and at least 42 people have been killed. The Iranian Supreme Leader said in a
this
televised
is what you call
address last night
protest.
in Tehran and a few other places, people came and did damage to their own buildings, ruining their own streets in order to make the president of another country happy, referring to President Trump. Earlier at the White House, the president said he's watching the situation closely.
I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts.
CBS
Oh,
News
boy.
national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us
Here
now.
we go.
So, Sam, we've seen protest movements in Iran before.
Israel's
What's different
gonna
this
end up
time?
Well, Iran
and
is
getting
no
into
stranger
it
to
too.
protests. They have been omnipresent throughout Iran's history. What's different this time is in the first instance, where these protests started, shopkeepers or bazaris really started these protests almost 2 weeks ago in light of deteriorating economic conditions. In particular,
Look at this.
Currency that's plummeting,
Oh
inflation
boy.
at about 42%.
It looks like my
Just an
picture
overall
in the
decrease
background.
in purchasing power. The Bazaris have historically been aligned
I've been putting
with
out
the
this picture like
administration.
this for a
What
few
is
days
also
now.
different
And
is
look what's
just the
happening.
footing the regime is on more broadly. Iran has suffered a series of devastating blows in the form of its war with Israel, strikes by the United States, loss of partners in Syria, detriments to its proxy forces around the world, and more. So it's a different operating environment than before. And certainly they know that President Trump has both the intent and capability to engage in direct military action in Iran if he so chooses. He's done it before.
What will the U.S. government take into account before it gets involved?
From what we know publicly, the administration is closely watching whether the Iranian regime resorts to the brutal suppression tactics that it's known for when it comes to protests. So certainly whether the regime and its security and intelligence forces engage in brutality against protesters, engage in brutality and even murder against prisoners, and just the overall repression tactics that have characterized how they have dealt with past protest movements.
There are reports that there are at least blockages, certain areas where internet is down or just cut off altogether. Is that something that typically happens in a fraught situation like this?
Well, the Iranian regime is going to use and has always used every tactic at its disposal to try to stop these protests from spreading. Social media is a powerful tool. Communication via the internet is a powerful tool and has mobilized individuals across Iran, and other countries certainly has mobilized individuals to join in protests and other kinds of activities. So Iran is doing everything possible to literally shut off the lights and shut off communications to try to get these protests to stop. But I just don't think that that's going to be a successful tactic in this environment, Lindsay.
Sam Vinograd, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's keep it moving. We got more.
Flames filling the streets of Tehran as protests intensify across Iran. Protesters now burning cars and government buildings in the capital city while the regime looks to clamp down.
And the Ayatollah addressing the protest this morning, hours after he cut off internet access. He says he's refusing to back down, accusing President Trump of sabotaging him, telling President Trump, focus on your own country.
Former Navy captain and Pentagon official Brent Sadler joins us now, and thank you so much for doing just that. The Ayatollah has shut down the internet there. He's calling these protesters terrorists, and apparently he has this exit strategy if these protests continue to Russia. You know, there have been rounds of protests to take place in Iran before that haven't amounted to anything. But do you view what's happening now as different and something that could actually lead to change?
Yes, the longer this has been going on and the more widespread, I mean, every corner of the country now has had major and sustained protests in every major city across the country. For the longest time, the one that seemed quiet was up to the northwest. That also has protests rolling through, and several cities apparently have even been taken over by protesters as the Iranian authorities have vacated out of the area. So those are significant events. But still, the regime has a knack of snapping back and certainly using a lot of violence in order to regain its control. So the longer this goes, the more likely this regime is about to reach a breaking point. So we're not that far into this. When the Shah fell from power, it was after about a year of this type of activity.
Here's what the president said with Sean last night about what he thinks he wants to see when it comes to Iran. Listen.
You believe that Iran, you think the country is on the verge of collapsing?
Well, it could be. I mean, what they've done is in the past, they've started shooting the hell out of people. And all of a sudden, people without any weapons whatsoever are standing there and you have machine guns gunning them down. Or they take them to prisons and then hang them and kill them. So they played rough. And I said, if they do that, we're going to hit them very hard. Well, we're going to hit them hard. We're ready to do it. If they do that, we're going to hit them hard.
Brent, should we have a role in Iran if the regime ultimately does collapse? And if so, what should that role be?
Yeah, a lot has changed now and very different from the historical record from the 1979 revolution that brought in the theocratic dictatorship that the Iranian people are suffering under for far too long. I mean, first and foremost, it's the Iranian people responsibility to change their government. The United States clearly has an interest in that. And I think President Trump will act if U.S. interests have both an opportunity for the better as well as to safeguard any threats from the regime. Again, the regime is making threats against the United States, and that may be a pretext for U.S. action if they want to try, if it becomes clear that the regime is actually going to try and make good on those threats. But to kind of go back to the core issue here, it's the Iranian people that I think are fed up. And I think what's also different is the economy is in free fall. The regime has been discredited because of defeat after defeat after defeat in the last year and its war through its proxies against Israel, and also with the severe strikes against its nuclear weapons enterprise by the United States. It's pretty clear confidence in this regime is very low on all fronts. And perhaps this might be the match that will light a fire that will finally get rid of this regime.
And speaking of the economy, there are reports that China could buy Iranian crude to make up for lost Venezuelan supply that is obviously no longer guaranteed. Could an unintended consequence of U.S. intervention in Venezuela be bringing these two adversaries of ours, China and Iran, closer together?
Oh, I think they are already fairly close. Iran relies on the Chinese so much so that they give the Chinese a pretty hefty discount on the oil that they sell to China. And they are the largest exporter to China of petroleum, of crude oil. So the Chinese are also benefiting from this relationship. And it probably also goes into military equipment as well. And they clearly, through BRICS organization, also coordinate on the diplomatic stage as well. So I'd say it's not a change. If anything else, the greater dependence on Iran for oil by Beijing makes it much more, I guess, less resilient of an energy market for the Chinese and makes them more vulnerable. So overall, it gives the United States even more leverage.
Very good news for us.
Interesting point. Former Navy Captain, Pentagon official Brent Sadler, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
Let's see one more here.
The arrests and a nationwide internet and phone service blackout, the unrest continues to escalate. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei says vandals are trying to please President Trump. For more on this, I want to bring in Masih Alinejad. Masih, Iranian journalist, activist, and author of The Wind in My Hair, My Fight for Freedom in Modern Iran. Masih, thank you again for being here. Initial protests broke out last month over the country's crippled economy, but they've since widened into a broader anti-government movement, right? How did that pivot and why?
First of all, I have to say that the Iranian regime, right now that I'm talking to you, has shut down the internet. My heart is pounding, and I am feeling anxious because we have no idea what they are going to do when they actually try to hide their brutality, the crime that they are committing against humanity. I've been now receiving some messages from people who are using Starlink saying that numbers of people getting killed increasing. They see with their own eyes in the street that how people get shot to death. So that's why I even don't know what's going to happen to people who actually send me videos. The family members of those who have been killed, they are sending messages to people outside Iran and saying they need help.
Masih, is this something unlike anything you've seen before?
No. I have seen this in November, Bloody November in 2019, but now it's different because people actually using their own social media, people actually using their own names, they're showing their faces. They have no fear to say that loud. President Trump, we need your help. This is what the people of Iran are saying now. And I'm telling you why. Because this is a war against people. The regime actually waged war against its own people. When they shut down the internet, Ali Khamenei is using the same social media platform that they kicked out 80 million people from the social media. Ali Khamenei, the Supreme Leader of Islamic Republic, now is on Twitter and ordering massacre. He actually saying that we're not going to give up our fight.
Do you think that this is the end for him?
It is, and that's why he's fearing. That's why he is fearing the end of his regime. That's why he's ordering massacre. That's why he's absolutely blackout, total blackout. out. So that's why I'm nervous. So for me, when I came to your show the first day, I said the Iranian regime is going to open fire. The second time I said 10 people got killed. The third time I said 20 people. Yesterday I said 40 people. And now I don't know because I receive messages. People say that hundreds of people are being shot by the same regime. So for President Trump, who promised 3 times that he is going to save the peoples of Iran, now the time has come to intervene. It's not me saying that. Now the Kurds are actually asking people to take to the street. The son of the last Shah of Iran asked people to go to the street. The Baluchi asked people to go to the street. Every single person that I am in touch, they are saying that the time has come for the free world to intervene.
Well, Masih Alinejad, we appreciate you coming on. Please keep us posted. Thank you.
That's interesting, you know, because that's the true uprising that's happening over there. It's gonna get. Imagine the U.S. We get involved and we have to shoot some missiles over their way to. I'm sure Trump knows where the Ayatollah is. He knows what. Because they monitor them every day. Those satellites, they're literally hawkeyeing the situation, and I'm 100% sure that they will do like really bad for the Ayatollah. This is like the uprising. It just reminds me of the Hunger Games. This is like real life Hunger Games going on around the world. But you see the stupidity here in the United States with it's with this protests and paid protesters and paid anger, and they get like the stupidest low energy people to join them. And if you look at them, you look at how they look, they're just little really low energy, not really got their shit together. Like they're just all over the place. And these people need to chill, you know, because the next thing I would do, I would shoot them all with water. Like, oh my God. And then next thing you're gonna hear them cry, you know, I ended up in the hospital because I ended up with frostbite and have hypothermia. And, well, you shouldn't have not been out there. How about that? Now we're not going to boo-hoo about it. You shouldn't have been there. You should have been at home, nice and warm, in your bed, watching whatever you watch, maybe CNN, because you guys are like MS Now type of people. I'm not. I'm more of a Fox guy. So, oh well. Let's go on and watch some Jason A.
So we're into 60 now. I just 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done, and now they're up to 6. Let's do it again. What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin. See how perfect that is. I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
About 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
When I started this job, there were actually very little countries in Africa or Latin America that had one ubiquitous type of ID, and certainly that it was digital, and certainly that was biometric. And we've really worked with all our partners to actually help that being, to grow this. And the interesting part of it is that, yes, it is very necessary for financial services, but not only. Sure. It's also good for school enrollment. It's also good for health, who actually got a vaccination or not. It's very good to get your subsidies, from the government.
Details tonight on what Wegmans does with its biometric data of shoppers. Signs at the Brooklyn and Manhattan stores say facial recognition, eye scans, and voice prints are used and kept to increase security. But when Wegmans originally launched a pilot program, management said any data of shoppers would be deleted. Some customers complain the policy makes them feel uneasy. Legislation in the city council to block biometric storage has stalled for years.
Taking customer surveillance to a whole new level. There's a store here in New York City. It's called Wegmans. I've never heard of it in South Carolina, but I shop there now. Warning shoppers of technology collecting, storing, and even sharing biometric data, such as facial record. They're doing this so that they can recognize if you're a terrorist or if you've committed a crime. They know which customers to watch.
Weissman says Wegmans is not the first business to collect biometric data, while others like Walmart already drawing legal action against its biometric policies, and Rite Aid receiving a federal ban. Responding to Wegmans' claims they're using the data to enhance security at its stores, Weissman says the real concern doesn't rest with Wegmans' use of the data, rather the storage of it and the risk of bad actors getting a hold of it through a cyber attack.
The primary concern is when a retailer collects biometric data on its customers. What is it doing to protect the data? These are companies that don't specialize in cybersecurity or outsource their cybersecurity. And as we know, it's not a matter of if a company will be breached, it's a matter of when.
Now, given that the future of how biometric data collection will evolve is unknown, we asked Senator Jeremy Cooney earlier today if there are any plans to regulate the use of the information gathered by it, to which he said a law addressing this is on his radar.
If this is about keeping people safe when they're buying milk and bread, that's a good thing. But we want to make sure that we have the policies and the regulations in play so that all New Yorkers feel safe when they walk into any public setting, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's a bank, whether it's a private business. We want to make sure that people feel safe and that their information and their privacy is being withheld.
But legally, they don't have to tell you, right?
Let's be honest. It's about their bottom line. That's why they're doing it.
Okay, so tell us more about it. No, that's okay. Why do they do it? Do they have to have our permission? Can they share it?
Ainsley, good morning. So some places do need your permission. New York City is one of them, but more weirdness out of New York. There are only about 4 other states in the country that require companies like this to let you know that they're collecting your biometric data. And that means you're going to be walking into stores without any protection. You won't be have any idea whether your face, your eyes, or possibly even your voice is being collected as you simply go grocery shopping. It's a new trend for loss protection. And to really understand how we're shopping in the stores, they're going to use all kinds of ways to justify their Big Brother activity. But privacy experts here warning this really shouldn't be normalized for the kind of surveillance that it's doing. And the biggest question is, what happens to that data? Who's got it? Who owns that? Who's storing it? How do we know that's safe? Of course, it's not safe. These companies lose data constantly. So if you're in Texas, Washington, state of California, and Illinois, you're in luck. At least they have to post that sign outside that says, Ainsley, hey, welcome in. We're going to be recording your biometric data. Now, if I saw that at my grocery store, here's what I would do. I would vote with my wallet. I'd be like, no, thanks. I'm going next door. I'm going to the other grocery store. I don't care if it's worse, because I'm not going to let you do that to me. I'm voting my wallet, period.
Okay, here's the statement from the store. It's only in a few of their stores. It says, in a small fraction of our stores that exhibit an elevated risk, we have developed cameras equipped with facial recognition technology. This technology is solely used for keeping our stores secure and safe. The system collects facial recognition data and only uses it to identify individuals who have been previously flagged for misconduct. Kurt, will we start seeing this in other stores around the country?
Yes, you will. So keep your eyes open for that.
They are taking some new steps tonight to make sure that shoppers aren't kept in the dark when facial recognition technology is being used in stores. Now, this all push comes after a New York City Wegmans posted notices outside of its doors alerting customers about the use of biometric data collection. 20 Side's Alyssa Clausell has that story.
Most everybody is saying that it's creepy. Other people are saying that it's happening all the time. What's one more?
Western New York lawmakers say they're hearing from concerned constituents after a Wegmans store in New York City posted signs alerting customers that biometric data may be used.
I was certainly surprised
I think without that law in New York City that requires signage to be posted, we wouldn't have known about it.
Biometric data is more than just surveillance cameras. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, biometric data is information about your physical features like your face or your fingerprints. It could be used to identify you.
We agree to it. Every time we open up something on the internet, we have a right to say yes or no.
But the technology is already used in some everyday situations, including at airports and at the Canadian border. And commercially, retailers like Walmart say they also use biometric information.
Wegmans is a great store, and it's a great part of Western New York. And but I think that it's just for people's own feeling of security.
Right now, there is no state or local law requiring stores in Western New York to notify shoppers when biometric technology is in use. But Erie County legislator Lindsay Larigo says she's working to change that.
So I'm currently working on a local law that would require if a business or an entity is using, biometric scanning and collecting that data, that they would at least need to post signage to make customers aware, just like they're doing in New York City.
In response to these concerns, a spokesperson for Wegmans told Two on Your Side in part, quote, "This technology is solely used for keeping our stores secure and safe. The system collects facial recognition data and only uses it to identify individuals who have been previously flagged for misconduct. We do not collect other biometric data such as retinal scans or voice prints."
Wow. Well, they will collect those. Let's keep it moving. We got another Jason A to watch. So let's go ahead and go right to it.
Die Frau kann ein Kopftuch tragen. Und wenn das so weitergeht, und damit bin ich schon bei der nächsten Frage, bei dieser tatsächlich um sich greifenden Islamophobie, wird noch der Tag kommen, wo wir alle Frauen bitten müssen, ein Kopftuch zu tragen. Alle. Als Solidarität gegenüber jenen, die es aus religiösen Gründen.
I think he has written off Europe. I have. I don't know about you, but I've written off Europe. Europe's not going to be any help. They're going to be a nuclear-armed Islamic caliphate in 10 years.
That's crazy.
If they don't change their ways, that's what it will be.
The other thing that Australians want is they don't want conflict brought here. And that's why we need to use this Royal Commission to ensure that we strengthen our national unity, that we strengthen social cohesion, that we reassert who we are as Australians, because as Australians, we respect each other in our diversity. We respect people's right to practice their faith. We respect people to be who they are and to be able to go about that in the Australian way. So the attack on December 14 was targeting Jewish Australians, but it was also targeting the Australian way of life.
I believe we do need Greenland, not as a 51st state, maybe as a protectorate, it would be nice. Not by force, not by military. It has rare earth minerals, and it is strategically placed in such a place that it is essential for us. If you are preparing for war, he is preparing us for a couple of things. A digital war where we are fighting who's going to win AI, a currency war, whose currency is going to be dominant, who's going to actually be responsible for the financial well-being of at least the Western world, and I think a hot war. And so he is taking all of the assets that we need, oil, energy, that's coal, electricity, nuclear, all kinds of tech, not just AI, but military tech. Did you see what he said yesterday? He said yesterday, we have a problem with our military industrial complex. It's too slow. Hurry up. He is preparing for any eventuality. And he's carving out not an empire, I don't think. I think he is carving out the Western world and making strategic partnerships like he did with Argentina. We made them a big loan because they were struggling. We're not trying to control Argentina. I don't want to control Argentina, but I want them as an ally. Same with Venezuela. I don't want to run your country, but I want you as an ally. And, you know, Cuba, I don't want you. No communism here, not in this sector.
The other reason why I think Greenland wouldn't be as important if NATO wasn't useless. That's not helpful. Denmark
is useless.
Denmark's not Denmark anymore. What is Denmark? It is all of these countries are collapsing. They are absolutely delusional. They are becoming a totalitarian European Union that is going into a fascistic sort of way, complete control, complete anathema to freedom. At least that's their plan with the WEF. And he's written that off. We're not going to be allies with you guys. We're not. You're going to separate yourself from us. We're not going to. And so I don't want you to have all of those strategic reserves. We're willing to buy them from you. We're willing to buy Greenland. We're willing to make them a protectorate. They can run their own thing, but they're not going to Europe. They're coming here.
We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs. So we've done a really good job. We're knocking it down. The numbers are really getting to be, they're always going to be too high if you have one person, but they're going down just like the border. The border was a total mess for years. I did it the first time very quickly, and this time I did it even better because this was a bigger mess. This was a border like no other probably in the history of the world. There's never been a border like that when anybody could just walk into your country.
The border's ostensibly really closed now.
Closed. You can't come in. And nobody comes. Nobody even tries.
These groups, Tren de Aragua, Cartel de los Soles, these aren't like, our grandfather's mafia. These are more like ISIS and Al-Qaeda with state backing. Maduro was a state backer of narco-terrorism. These operatives are some of the most vicious in the world. They're right here in the United States killing Americans, but they have the backing of Venezuela's military and intelligence service, partnered with the Iranians, the Chinese and Russians, and also the Cubans.
It is important, is it not, that Greenland not become a satellite or an adversary and be used by China or Russia as an outpost against the United States, as we're talking about these emerging threats?
Absolutely, Laura. We know that the Chinese and Russians have great interest in Greenland, and we also know something else. In January, Denmark's defense minister actually admitted that Copenhagen had neglected the defense of Greenland. Well, if Denmark is not doing it, then somebody has to, and that has to be the United States.
Well, Gordon, what we know is that China, through its Belt and Road Initiative, has been, frankly, brilliantly assembling a series of strategic ports across the globe, most notably in Africa, even in trying to buy ports and manage ports in the United States. They have hundreds of thousands, forget on birth tourism, others buying property. And so they're moving on all fronts. And don't you think President Trump has just seen enough of this and said, wait a second, we need to secure the hemisphere, but a place like Greenland, can we actually trust that that stays in Danish hands and that Denmark doesn't somehow give way to Chinese influence? We can't really take that risk.
Yeah, we have a real problem in the Arctic because we also have a Canada that for decades neglected the defense. You had Justin Trudeau, the former prime minister, basically his attitude was, well, if there's ever a problem in the North, the Americans will come and rescue us. So clearly the Canadian government and the Danish government are not up to it.
If you could just keep that up there for your audience, because I think that is probably the one that shows I would call it vital terrain, right? Vital terrain in the world of geopolitics. Those straits through those operational water lanes there, the waterways are very critical. So, one thing, quickly is that Russia is not Venezuela. Russia is a nuclear armed powerhouse, that is not going to allow itself to be, quote unquote, pushed around like we're able to do with Venezuela, because Venezuela is a much smaller and much less capable nation. Russia, I understand elements of the Duma, which is essentially their Congress, have already come out with very strong statements in support of military responses by Russia. For the people that don't, pay real close attention to this, those vital waterways, that is the only real strategic lane or set of lanes for the Russian Navy, particularly with their nuclear submarine fleet, to be able to exit the northern Baltic Sea, right?
That's why this area strategically, if you throw the map back up, guys, is so strategic for any of these military operations, strategic warfare. This is why President Trump has been so focused on Greenland. And people think that it's what's the point of Greenland? Who cares? No. Just go and look at the map and you'll see.
We need Greenland. We definitely need Greenland. And if you ever looked at a map and you see Greenland and you see the waterways, how Greenland is right next to UK, and then on the other side next to Canada, and we protect those two routes. And we got the other side protected with Alaska, so they can't come in through Alaska. And then we got Hawaii that pretty much protects the central of the Pacific. So we need to protect the Atlantic. And the only way we could do that, we have Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico covers like the Caribbean, and the Dominican Republic and so forth. They help out with the military as far as like with the airports and airfields. But Greenland is the biggest catch, because that way you have a way to get to the Arctic Circle. Right now, we don't have a way, only Alaska, we only got Alaska for the waterway, then that's on the west side. We need to protect the east side. So that's why it's very important for the United States to get Greenland. But, the left don't understand that. They're like, oh, hands off Greenland now. And now they're going to go protest and be like, hands off Greenland, hands off everybody. I don't know what else to say, but give me money and I'll say anything. I don't know, man. It's just weird times. And let's continue on with some more news.
And President Trump, we've been all over this story, has China reeling tonight, still over our operation in Venezuela. Now, you all know by now that this is a move that was not only done to arrest Maduro, but at its core to beat back Chinese influence in our hemisphere. Beijing was the biggest buyer of Venezuelan oil, but not anymore. China and Russia, of course, they don't have any place in our hemisphere, certainly shouldn't be allowed to, set up their own house in the Western here, the endangered security. Sources are claiming that the Trump administration told Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, that the regime must kick out China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba, sever ties, as well as to agree to partner with the U.S. on oil production in favor of the United States when selling heavy crude oil. In a new interview, the president telling the New York Times that the U.S. would be running Venezuela and extracting oil from its reserves, potentially for years, saying we will rebuild it in a very profitable way. We're going to be using oil.
Wow. That's going to be so good for Venezuela, man.
Prices down. We're going to be giving money to Venezuela, which they desperately need.
Yeah.
That is a tall order. And Vice President Vance
Trade
explained today
with the U.S.
we should not
That's so
stop
big.
at Venezuela.
Greenland is really important, not just to America's missile defense, but to the world's missile defense. Number two, we know that there are hostile adversaries that have shown a lot of interest in that particular territory, that particular slice of the world. So what we're asking our European friends to do is to take the security of that landmass more seriously, because if they're not, the United States is going to have to do something about it.
Yep.
You bet. And here to discuss, Gordon Chang, Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow.
Nice
Gordon,
to
I've been
meet you,
dying to
Greenland.
talk to you, since Saturday in the wee hours of the morning. it is important, is it not, that Greenland not become a satellite or an adversary and be used by China or Russia as an outpost against the United States as we're talking about these emerging threats?
Absolutely, Laura. We know that the Chinese and Russians have great interest in Greenland, and we also know something else. In the January, Denmark's defense minister actually admitted that Copenhagen had neglected the defense of Greenland. Well, if Denmark is not doing it, then somebody has to, and that has to be the United States.
Well, Gordon, what we know is that China, through its Belt and Road Initiative, has been, frankly, brilliantly assembling a series of strategic ports across the globe, most notably in Africa, even in trying to buy ports and manage ports in the United States. They have hundreds of thousands, forget that, millions of people in the United States who've come to
Remember, the United States kicked out
tourism,
China from the
buying
Panama
property,
Canal.
and so they're moving on all fronts. And don't you think President Trump has just seen enough of this and said, wait a second, we need to secure the hemisphere, but a place like Greenland, can we actually trust that stays in Danish hands and that Denmark doesn't somehow give way to Chinese influence? We can't really take that risk.
Yeah, we have a real problem in the Arctic because we also have a Canada that for decades neglected the defense. You had Justin Trudeau, the former prime minister. Basically, his attitude was, well, if there's ever a problem in the North, the Americans will come and rescue us. So clearly the Canadian government,
We need to be closer
are not up
to Europe. We need to be closer to the UK.
All right.
In case Russia
Gordon,
decides to attack UK, the United States has a setting where they could deploy their weapons and their missiles from and attack
Marco
Russia.
Rubio, J.D. Vance, Donald J.
It's
Trump
all
could see it at 50,000 feet
it's very
level,
important
and
we get
we'll see if the
Greenland.
media ever catches up. But I actually think most people in the media would be fine if the CCP took Venezuela. I don't think they'd have any problem with that. Don't you agree? The press is fine with China having more infiltration in the Western Hemisphere. They don't see it as a threat.
Yeah, and the important thing, though, is that President Trump sees it as a threat. We saw that in the National Security Strategy, which was issued last month, and we see it with his actions. Remember, Marco Rubio's first trip as Secretary of State was to Panama. That is critical. It shows the administration's priorities to do something about that critical canal zone.
All right, Gordon, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube.
Let's keep it moving.
Policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Oh, Lord. All right. The internet, it's not the internet. It's like YouTube acting a little crazy. But let me go back just a few. Because like you can hear, how long is this? It's not too long. You know what? Let's play it back from the beginning. Because I don't know what's going on with the system. After a while, things start acting a little crazy on YouTube. But we're going to play that back. Let's bring it back to me so I can reset this. Greenland, if you like it or not, we're coming, because we're not going to let Chinese influencers or Russians to overtake Greenland, because then they'll surround Europe, on both sides, and if UN or NATO doesn't want to do anything because Greenland is part of NATO, but NATO don't do shit for them. No, NATO is what is NATO? What is the UN? Like UN is good for nothing. I don't even know why we have UN. The United States is taking lead and doing everything, yet UN is just like, can I have money? I need more money so I could just, live nice. And I just come here once in a while, talk shit here in New York, and I have my penthouse and I got my nice cars and eat out every night, and I don't worry about anything because it's on taxpayers' dime. Because yes, the United States taxpayers is paying for NATO. So I don't think we should be part of NATO if we're leading on everything. So what's the use of NATO? What are they good for? For nothing. So I think the United States should take over Greenland and not only militarize it and bombard it with like a whole bunch of weapons, but we get to cover that side of the Arctic Ocean, and we could get some ice breakers out there, because I know the United States is mass producing icebreakers for the purpose of guarding that area of the hemisphere. And this is a very smart move of Trump. We do need Greenland. It's been talked about. It's nothing new. This is not new. But we need to make a push for it because Russia it's not cooperating with the United States with Ukraine, and they are attacking Ukraine like pretty heavily and very powerfully. I think I have a video that I can show you on that. After we see Trump, we'll see some of the videos of Ukraine. So let's go ahead and go back to Trump and let's listen in.
Policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Damn. He hits them.
And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. Sure, we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
Woo.
Please, go ahead, ma'am.
On Greenland, Mr. President, why is it so important to you to own it when you have a military presence there, which you could expand to affect security?
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it. And, with a nation, look at what happened with Obama, with that horrible deal they made with Iran. It was a short-term deal. It was like a 9-year deal. Countries can't make 9-year deals or even 100-year deals. Countries have to have ownership. And you defend ownership, you don't defend leases. And we'll have to defend Greenland. If we don't do it, China or Russia will. Not going to happen. We are not going to have, and I like China, I like Russia, I love the people of China, I love the people of Russia. I get along very well with President Putin, but I'm very disappointed in him. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to go over to China in April, but I don't want them as a neighbor in Greenland. Not going to happen. And by the way, and NATO's got to understand that. I'm all for NATO. I saved NATO. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a NATO right now. But we're not going to allow Russia or China to occupy Greenland, and that's what's going to happen if we don't. Go ahead.
On the
economic report that came out today, Mr. President? One, can you respond to that? And two,
it was an amazing report. The most amazing thing is government jobs are way down, and yet the unemployment or the employment numbers are very good. We've gotten rid of tremendous numbers of federal government jobs. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, and yet the employment numbers are very good. They're really getting better. But now we have all those people to work in the private sector for a lot more money. I think that's one of the very big things. The other thing is at 5.4%. And remember, this is after we had a shutdown. And that shutdown had an impact because the concept of the shutdown, even though it's before, people knew we were going to be shutting down. A lot of bad things happened. And by the way, on January 30th, you may have another shutdown. We'll see what happens. But I think the numbers, Caitlin, were really amazing. Look, to think about 5.4%, nobody thought that. They thought it was going to be 2%. And you know what it is? It's tariffs. And it's also November 5th. We had a great election, a great election. Our country was dead 1.5 years ago. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I hope you guys were impressed. 5.4%, and we have.
All right. I want to real quick. Let me bring this back to me. I wanted to do something. I wanted to check something out here. Let's see if we can tap into a live feed of what's going on in the protests. So let's go ahead and set this up. We're going to watch the protests for a little bit, and then we're going to continue on with the show. This is here in America. I believe this is Minneapolis. This is all Minneapolis. So this is Friday night. I guess they don't have work on Friday night. People don't work on Friday night. Oh, that's right. They're getting paid for this. That's right. Paid protesters. This is live right now on MyMindoverYourMatter. We're watching low vibration, low break cells testing. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of salamis there. Yeah, I call them salamis. Oh, the salamis. This is stupid. No justice, no peace. What? Are they literally saying that? No justice, no peace? Oh, don't tell me they're going into the businesses now. They're going to the businesses. Come on, man. Look. Look at what they're doing. These fucking idiots. Look. Like what they're doing. You see that? Is this right? Is this free speech? What is this? Fuck ice. Why are they standing in front of this place? This is not control, man. This is out of control. Dude, there's salami. Look at the salami. Dude, they're banging on the windows. This is a riot. This is not no protest. Look at this. Oh, come on, man. Look, there's a salami. Look, get the picture in the face. They're showing their faces here. And they're a bunch of kids. Look. They're putting their DNA on the windows. And they can go back later and give their fingerprints. Yeah, a lot of fingerprints. Look. Very, very smart. You're like a fucking idiot. Look at this. What are they doing? This is okay. I'm not gonna continue to entertain this. This is just ridiculous. All right, let's go back to what I was talking about with the bombing over in Kyiv, and let's check that out. And this is why Trump is not happy with Putin. You got drones, you got bombings. So the war continues. Trump is not happy with Putin, and Putin is not letting up. So Putin is going really hard in Ukraine. They're talking about peace deal. Peace. This does not look like a peace deal in the works. This is called a bombardment. You know, and that's why the U.S. needs to get closer to Russia. You know, we have Alaska, but we need to get closer to their west coast, which is over by Moscow. We need to get closer to that area. That if we need to shoot, you know, ballistic missiles or, you know, intercontinental ballistic missiles, we could have a shorter trip over in Greenland. You know, so I say yes, we need to go into Greenland as soon as possible. And this is happening. This is happening over in Ukraine. And Zelensky definitely needs to go. You know, that administration, all that stuff, then they need to go. They need to have a fair election in Ukraine, new elections in Ukraine. Look, all the power goes out. Look at that. The power went out. You know, and that's winter there. It's cold. And the power's going out like that. Look at that. Look. All the power has gone out. It comes back on and turns back off. It comes back on. Look at the explosions. They're going to need the U.S. to step in and truly offer some security here. Because if Russia's going to continue doing this is right now is getting a little stupid. You know, because it's like, what's your goal? What's the point? At this point, it's like, what's the point? You know, look how long they're taking with Ukraine. The United States, how long did it take with Venezuela? 5 hours? 5 hours with Venezuela. We were in and out. We did what we had to do. We got the fucking president, and we were out. In 5 hours. 5. How long this bullshit has been going on? How many years? Over what, 5 years now? Okay. Does it make any sense? No, it truly doesn't. You can see the power going out. Look at that. That's wild. Imagine trying to sleep with this shit. You're trying to get to bed. You're laying in your bed. Next thing you know, you hear all these explosions and the power going out. It's not. No wonder Trump's not happy with Putin. All right, let's keep it moving. Some liberal hive mind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, I guess it was inevitable, right? All you had to do was be patient and just wait. And inevitably, we'd be in the same position that we're always in. The left jumping the gun, jumping to conclusions, making everything political, and then 48 hours later looking like a bunch of complete morons, but of course, beyond that, looking like a bunch of dishonest propaganda spewing scoundrels. Well, here we are in the same exact position. Here it is, the left's rush to judgment bullshit just got obliterated yet again, totally exposing their malicious habit of spreading lies and weaponizing tragedy without a shred of actual facts and evidence. The body cam footage of the ICE agent that was struck by the vehicle has officially been released. And once again, I'm saying the same thing. This case is open and shut. 100% justified self-defense. And actually, it's even worse than you might have initially expected. Let's continue exposing these grotesque liars that are doing nothing but sowing chaos and division through their malicious lies. Let's take a look at what actually happened. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends, so it's exactly as I stated. We've obtained the body cam footage. This is the point of view from the ICE agent that was actually hit by the vehicle. And as you can see, not only was he standing in front of the vehicle, but he was hit hard.
I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen.
What the hell's wrong with that? See, he went around the car.
I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy.
He went around the whole car. She's talking shit. The other officer says, get out of the car. She hits in reverse. This guy hits the cop. He opens fire. Yo, he should be part of the Secret Service.
It's way worse than we expected. And there's so many
He needs to
little
be in the
key
Secret
details
Service.
in that video footage.
He needs
Probably
a
the
raise.
most important is the wife of the deceased individual, who clearly was escalating the situation, clearly was instigating, acting tough,
Yeah,
LARPing as
should
we've
be
been
in jail.
covering. You can also see that they're clearly parked, blocking the road, attempting to impede these ICE agents from conducting their duty. And then the moment it's FAFO time, the moment they're about to meet consequences for their clearly illegal actions, ICE officers move in to detain her, and the wife screams, "Drive." She yelled that to her wife while she knew that there was an ICE agent standing right in front of her. You can clearly see that these people were antagonistic. They weren't just innocent bystanders. They weren't peaceful protesters. They were agitators, saboteurs, taunting the officers, creating a road blockade. They engaged in some very stupid behavior, and unfortunately, it led to the demise of one of them. The case, in my view, is now clear as day, and nearly every single little element of copium and lies that the Democrats have been pushing, all of it falls apart with this one video. You know, one of those lies is that the ICE officer in question was standing on the side of the vehicle. And, well, you can tell from that footage, clearly that's not the case. I mean, look at this frame shot right over here. She is driving straight into him. But you go all over social media and you'll hear leftoids saying, well, oh, it's proof that she turned her wheels. She was trying to drive away. Well, obviously that makes no sense, and frankly, it's an irrelevant detail, because yes, we saw from the other angle that she did in fact turn her wheels at the last second, but how the hell is the officer standing in front of the vehicle supposed to see that or know that? And clearly there's not enough room for her to make that
He
maneuver
went around the
properly.
whole car.
She doesn't have the turning angle or the turning radius
It's not
to
like
avoid
he
hitting the
didn't- like,
officer.
he went
And
around
really,
the
that's
whole
the
car.
beauty of these point of view cameras, and that's the beauty of body cam footage. It gives us the direct point of view of the officer. He cannot see the wheels. He cannot tell whether or not she's trying to hit him. All he sees is a deadly weapon, a vehicle, yes, a deadly weapon, a deadly battering ram, barreling directly at him, and he reacts to save his life. His point of view, I think, clears it all up. And once again, I have to mention how these body cam videos have been so utterly devastating for the left. You know, they spent years and years arguing that every single police officer and all these ICE agents and federal officers, they should have body cam footage so we can prove
And they
just
do.
how racist they are. But holy moly, did that backfire. Time and time again, the body cam footage shows just how delusional and warped the left-wing worldview is. And now here we go again. The body cam footage releases, and every single thing the left is saying is being totally disproven. The next point that you'll see all over leftist social media, many people who are online defending this individual and her actions, they claim that, well, she didn't even see this guy in front of her. She was focused on the other agent and probably just accidentally bumped the officer in front of her. She didn't even see him. But again, if you freeze the frame,
She's
this is
looking right at
complete
him.
BS. You can see her make eye contact with the officer.
Yeah,
she
she's looking
looks
right at him.
him and hits the pedal to the metal as her wife is yelling, "Drive!" And she drives directly into him, hitting him forcefully. I mean, hard. And it also appears as if he's shooting either as the car is making contact or after. In other words, he's reacting to a threat.
Oh my God, I'm
It's his
getting
training that's kicking in. But the left tells you, no, he shot even before she started driving. He shot her, and that's why the car barreled into him. It's all nonsense. It's nothing but lies. anything to defend this woman and demonize the Trump administration. But I think very clearly, especially as more and more evidence continues to drop, there is no defending these actions. It's become increasingly obvious that this woman and her wife, frankly, are both victims of their own behavior, of their own bad decision-making. They're obviously individuals who have been deeply propagandized, and they've been pulled into this world of domestic terrorism, possibly unknowingly. You know, they probably don't see it as such, but that is the reality. They decided to LARP as anti-Trump resistance fighters fighting the fascist Trump regime, a completely delusional worldview. I mean, borderline schizophrenic paranoia. They decided that they were going to put themselves in harm's way, taking on these ICE agents, disrupting these operations, creating road blockades, acting tough in front of them. They made multiple poor decisions after being propagandized by all the extreme left-wing Democrat rhetoric. Ended very badly for them. This is not a to now tear the country apart. Rioting should be learning operations, and they paid the ultimate price. And based on the evidence, this was 100% justified use of force. And honestly, don't even take it from me. You probably should have heeded the warning from the Chicago police chief who warned you about this exact thing after the ICE ambush that we saw in Chicago.
Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger.
This guy has some common sense. He should be the mayor.
Following
Shit, he should be the governor.
Agents around.
We need him as the governor.
The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death.
Yep.
When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force.
You should have listened, but instead you listened to all these TikTok
I
weirdos.
like this officer.
You continued down the Rachel Maddow
shit.
rabbit hole, and well, it didn't end well for you. You can't blame Trump for that. You can't blame ICE for that. You can't blame Trump for that. No, these two individuals are clearly to blame, and the system that propagandized them, I think, share equal responsibility. But once again, Democrats jump to conclusions without all the facts.
This guy
spread
has
more
fucking
disgusting
common
lies to
sense.
whip up a frenzy. They rush to slander without videos, without witnesses, without reports, just cheap partisan narratives. Again, manipulating tragedies to divide and gain power.
Interviewed any
That's not a
eyewitnesses
red
on the
herring.
ground?
That's what we were just talking
Have
about.
you
You're
interviewed
talking
any
about whether this is
eyewitnesses
legal or
on the
not.
ground in Minneapolis? Have you interviewed any eyewitnesses?
Have I personally interviewed them? No,
Yes.
that's not my job. My job is to speak truth to power.
It's really
and when I
interesting,
look
your
at that
job.
video, I see murder. And I
So
think we should call it that if that's what happened. And by the way,
Congressman,
I've been
you
in
invoked
situations
the
like that.
concept
Have you ever
of due process. I've looked at your tweets.
Well,
You've talked about the
well,
concept
have
of
you?
due process. No, this is important for everybody to understand. You have a job, and you have highlighted to us as a congressman. You watched a viral video. I don't know how many videos
Wow.
you watched. There's multiple angles, but you watched a video. You didn't interview a witness. You didn't look at law enforcement reports. You haven't spoken to the agent involved. And with that limited knowledge of looking at a viral video, you went to social media and you condemned a federal officer to murder. You made that conclusion long before an investigation is played out. And I'm just curious, is that in line with your vision of due process?
I mean, just disgusting behavior. These people look so freaking stupid. But at this point, honestly, I think it goes beyond that. I think it's freaking evil. I think what the Democrats are doing is evil. They're causing chaos. They're manipulating people who are psychologically susceptible to the fear-mongering that they spew. They're mobilizing these people on the streets. It's ending in tragedy. And then instead of trying to bring the temperature down and doing the right thing, they double down and further propagandize and further divide. This case is clear as day. It's open and shut. Honestly, at this point, I don't even think an investigation is merited. It's a sad situation since someone lost their life, but it's time to move on. There's nothing else to be done. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys.
I mean,
thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, there's nothing to see here. You know, she broke the law. Nobody told her to park in the fucking middle of the street and block ICE. Like, are you kidding me? Who is she to be in the middle of the road? And this is why the Democrats are very stupid. Okay? And why I just say, if you're a Democrat, man, you better start self-reflecting, start thinking about, like, you need to do a lot of thinking and a lot of praying. I just let you know right now, it's just, you need to make better decisions in your life, especially with what's going on like today. Grow some common sense in those brain that you have, you know, utilize the little brain cells you have left, and start thinking of reason, and make proper decisions. You know, first off, before anything, don't rush to conclusions. Don't rush to judgment without going through all the evidence from beginning to the end. You can't just make a decision on the conclusion at the end and determine, oh my God, this was a great thing. This is a great movie. You know, it's like, you don't watch a movie and you just watch the end and say, oh my God, it was a great movie because I saw the ending. You know, oh, that's not fair. That's wrong and this and that, because you just saw the ending, but you didn't see from the beginning, middle, and end. You just rushed to conclusion. And then you had the stupid mayor in Minnesota, you know, telling ICE to get the fuck out. Like, are you kidding me? I'm kidding. Like, this guy and the police chief and the governor, they all need to be we need to do a perp walk on all of them and send them all to federal prison. They're enticing all this craziness happening in the streets. You don't believe me? You don't fucking believe me? Let's go back live to what's going on in Minnesota. Here we go. Let's put up the volume because it's going to hurt your ears for a little bit. Tell me, how is this legit? This is a hotel. If I'm not mistaken, this is a hotel. And they're trying to break into a hotel. All these people should all be sent overseas. They should be sent to war. You know what? They want to be so all the energy. Let's have World War III. And we'll put all these idiots, we'll tag them, tag their phones, and all of them, we'll send them to the front line. Send them to the front line. I bet you they'll love America a little bit more and they'll appreciate America a little bit more. This is what you call lawless. And how is Minnesota letting this happen? Where's the police? This clown. Stupid. I hope they get that guy, you know, who's incites in this. I hope the other people get some kind of like. See, if it was me, I would go out there with a water cannon and start shooting water at these people. Because it's guaranteed that they're gonna leave. They'll scatter like roaches, they'll have to leave because it's so cold and they're getting wet with water. And guess what? If you stay, you're gonna get hypothermia. If not, you're gonna end up like in the hospital with frostbite. And guess what? That's on you. You shouldn't have been there. You should have been doing something better in your life on a Friday night. But no, you want to go to cause chaos, look, breaking stuff there. Look at this. Look at this. What are they doing? This is bullshit, man. I know they call the cops, but is the cops going to show up? It's the police, right? Oh, who is this yellow vest, people? She's telling them what to do. You didn't just see that? She was telling them to bang. Oh, the ones with the yellow vest are the paid ones. There's a lot of paid individuals here, but they were talking about the yellow vest people. And look, there's 2 yellow vest people right in the hotel. Look at them right there. What is going on here? Where's the National Guard? What happened to Tim Watts? Why he hasn't activated the National Guard yet? You know what I mean? This guy's a fucking... I can't wait till they arrest him. 2026 is going to be the year the Insurrection Act is going to be signed. Tim Watts will be in handcuffs. I wouldn't be surprised if the mayor also gets put in handcuffs also, or get censored or charged with treason. Because this is very treasonous territory, and we need to make accountability great again. Make accountability great again. Get Tim Watts, get the stupid mayor from the fucking Minneapolis and throw him in jail. And not regular jail, federal jail. You know? How is this happening in America? You know? This is low vibration. This is what low vibration people are. Do they look educated? Do they look like they're making the right decision on a Friday night? They got nothing else to do but to cause chaos. And they're in a business. That's look at all the yellow vest people. This is stupid, man. This is idiotic. On a Friday night. You know, and you got real protests going on in Iran that people are fighting for their freedom, are fighting to overturn a government. And you got these idiots out here with signs that just says fuck ICE. That's it. No, and they don't even. I can't with this anymore. Why talk about it? Just look at the stupidity. And you can tell it's organized. You can tell who's running the you can see the paid ones telling the people what to do. You see? Who's that person? You see, look, they're pointing where to go now. Look, directing them. Look. Directing them. Let's go that way. Go that way. Everybody, go that way. We're low brain cells. Go that way. Low brain cells. We're trying to get people to go that way. Go that way. Wow, this is so stupid. Well, that's what the Democrats are about. You know, they don't get their way, they'll either cheat or steal. That's all they know how to do. I never trust a Democrat. If they're a Democrat, I don't trust them. Something about them is you can't trust them. Because they could be the smartest people in the world, and if they're a Democrat, that makes them the stupidest. Automatic. You don't even get a pass with me. I can't. Not with these fucking crazy people. Like, this is what they're doing on a Friday night. On a Friday fucking night. And they don't even have a message. You know, they don't even have a proper, like, message or energy to focus on. They're only saying, fuck ICE, fuck ICE, fuck ICE. Shit. Because, let me tell you something. That officer, it's justified. He tried to hit him, and he did hit him. And he opened fire and nailed it right in the motherfucking head. That gentleman needs to be part of the FBI. He needs to be either FBI, CIA, special service, like special forces. He needs a pay raise, and he needs to be within the Secret Service. I think he would be great to protect President Trump. Because he hit her right in the head. And I think like 2 or 3 shots went straight to the head. To the head! With a moving vehicle. Yo, if you could shoot like that, you could protect me any day. You could protect me any day if you got a sharpshooting shot like that. During a moving vehicle, able to, like, and under pressure and getting hit by the car, boom, boom, and taking those shots, neutralizing the suspect, and now we have stupidity. This is stupid. What are they doing? Purpose. How is this peaceful? Imagine if you rented a room in that hotel and you gotta hear this shit. I'd be so fucking pissed. I would spray them with water. If that window were open, I would throw buckets of water out that window. I would spray them all with water. It's like a renaissance. Look at Pikachu. Oh, I like Pokemon, but I'm not a fan of Pikachu, so look, they got a frog there too. They got Pikachu and a frog. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but not my Pokemon. Not my favorite Pokemon, but it's pretty cool. It's all this Pika, I'm like, nah, Pika yourself somewhere else. But this is Friday. Now, we knew this was going to happen, but my thing is, where's the governor? Where's the mayor? Does this look like a peaceful protest? They're on the street, so automatically they're wrong. They shouldn't be on the street. So if there's any emergency in this at any time during this process, this is going to be a nightmare if you have an emergency right now. And you got a bunch of fucking morons blocking the fucking street. So how is this safe? You know, it's just I'm done. These Democrats, I don't know how they got to this delusional way. You know, maybe if Jesus was to pop up out of nowhere and just bring them all to reality, maybe that'll be the answer. Maybe that'll be the cure. So these people are here, they don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe in themselves. All they believe in is gaslighting and protest for the wrong thing, you know? Like ICE is federal officers. The federal officers, they're higher than your city officers, your local officers, your police. They're above them. Hello, they're federal agents, and yet you don't want these federal agents there. They don't listen to the people here. You think they care about what these people are doing? You know, right now they're probably having some operations and taking down some of these people as this is going on. ICE is not going to stop. And actually, they should go even more stronger. And all these people that are here together, I'm pretty sure the government knows who's here on this block. Because you got to understand, all these people have cell phones. And all their cell phones is being pinged by a tower. And their GPS is writing them out right now. As they're walking through there, their GPS is monitoring every step that they're taking. They know. You see, if I was president, I would say just like this: if you caught out here doing all this stuff, we're gonna hit you with some fines. I said $250 in the beginning for a first offense. I'm gonna raise it up to $500 now. $500 for first offense. Second offense, $1,000. Third offense, straight to jail. You know, mandatory 30 days in jail with maybe a $5,000 fine. And if you do it a fourth time, then you go to jail for a year in federal prison. And you're gonna be hit with a $10,000 fine. How about that? Put some real fear behind it. You know? You know how they're harassing the businesses. This is crazy, man. All these people should be held accountable. I would gather them up, put them into a camp, military camp, and then send them to war. Start World War III, attack Iran, attack Russia, attack China, and then send all these clowns to fight on the ground. You know? Send them out there and fight for the country. I bet you all of them will freaking try to be arrested and go to jail because they don't want to go to fight for the country. That's how stupid and how low brain cell these people are. Like, choose your battles wisely. And this is one that's not very wise. This is a stupid decision by these people without actually checking the evidence out first. All right, let's stop this shit because I know it's a lot. Let's see what's going on over here.
Capital City, a peaceful protest taking place on one side of the federal courthouse last night, but then on the other side of the building, violence unfolded. And now we're hearing from Hartford's mayor and the police department about exactly what happened. Amanda Callahan is your reporter live, City Hall, with this update now. Amanda.
Kara, I was there at that protest last night where 200 people gathered peacefully to honor Renee Good, the woman who was allegedly shot and killed in the house. Now, the mayor said that some violence was unfolding over there, and now the police department is investigating multiple events that happened. So we've shown you video all throughout the morning of incidents that happened there. You can see there are two cars pulling out of a parking garage, and while they're trying to move away, a crowd of people circle the vehicles. Now, behind that vehicle is a white van. The mayor says he believes the people inside the car and the van are federal employees, but he cannot confirm that for sure. Now, the driver of the van allegedly knocked a protester to the ground and then took off. The mayor says a protester then threw something at the van and broke the back window. The mayor also addressed a man wearing all black and a mask who is believed to have been unlawfully deploying pepper spray. The mayor says he believes that man with the pepper spray is connected to the people inside the cars. Now, it's unclear if anyone was hit with pepper spray. The mayor says that there were no reports of anyone going to the hospital last night. He also said the person hit by the car refused medical attention at the scene. The mayor said police are investigating these incidents as a hit and run, unlawful use of pepper spray, and destruction of property for the person that threw an object at the vehicles. He's putting No blame,
they're
though, for the
wearing.
peaceful protests turning
Oh,
violent
this
on
is
the
so
Trump
beautiful.
administration.
They're putting
What we
water in
saw
their
last
eyes.
night was peaceful vigil in the city of Hartford
Fucking
turned violent.
stupid.
And
Hartford's
that
stupid.
violence
I live in
didn't
Connecticut.
come from the city of Hartford.
This guy's a
That
fucking
violence
idiot.
is a direct result of the lawlessness and recklessness of the Trump administration that has
Oh,
occurred over the
blame
past
Trump.
year. And that last
Oh,
night came here
blame
to the
Trump.
city of Hartford.
That's all
And
you
they
guys
say
can
that it's
do.
ongoing. The mayor said that he does not expect to hear back from
Stupid.
the Department of Homeland Security in terms of what they say happened last night. Reporter live in Hartford, Amanda Callahan,
People
Channel
blame
3
Trump.
Eyewitness
That's all
News.
they know how to do.
Amanda, thank you. We are continuing to bring you the very
Only
latest
stupid
on
people
this
blame
developing
Trump.
situation across the nation.
I'm gonna
Stay
make a
here with
shirt.
us on Eyewitness News on Channel 3 and download our free WFSB
shirt
app
made out.
so you can stream all of our newscasts for free online.
I'm gonna put that on my little list of shirts to do. Okay. Well, only stupid people blame Trump. That's gonna be a shirt. Only the stupid people. Okay. Only the stupid people blame Trump. There you go. Gotta talk to Tyson. Get a shirt made. Hey, I gotta make money off of this shit one way or another. Let's see what else we got here. We got some more stuff. Harper Mayer is a fucking idiot. You know, all the Democrats. It seems like it's only the Democrats. Only Democrats. You know, I don't see a Republican stepping up and talking like shit like no other like these people are doing. It's just ridiculous. It's really the ridiculous, super ridiculous. Let me see. I'm trying to do some housekeeping. Okay, I see what this is about. Set it up. And let's watch some Benny Johnson.
What's up, guys? Benny. 2 days ago, a left-wing activist tried to run over and murder an ICE agent. We know that as a matter of fact because we have the body cam footage from the actual ICE agent proving once and for all that the individual who stared the ICE agent down and then was told by her girlfriend or wife here to punch the gas did so right in this moment and tried to run over this agent. This is an absolute pure, empirical, demonstrable video that proves that the ICE agent, in fact, was hit by the vehicle as they were trying to attempt murder. Nonetheless, the media has lied about this incident and tried to foment civil unrest and to get the corporate bodies and NGOs and left-wing activist organizations on their side so they can burn down the city of Minneapolis. And one of the most remarkable parts of this entire story was that at the height of all of this, the corporations have decided to stand back and stand aside. Corporations like Hilton, for instance, when it was proved that they refused to offer their services and accommodations to ICE, sent a scathing message saying that we do not discriminate against anyone. An independently owned hotel has assured us they would fix the problem, but they didn't fix the problem, so now we're stripping them of their franchise. This is wildly drastic action for Hilton. You can see here the crane truck removing the Hilton branding, Hampton Inn, one of the Hilton hotels, from the actual location. They stripped the location of the hotel operator's license. A huge plus. Marriott, on the other hand, in Minnesota, confirms to Fox News that they've ID'd and fired an employee who doxed ICE agents by leaking their names, emails, and surveillance images as they checked into the front desk. The images appeared on an anti-ICE Reddit post that went up last night. I took screenshots of the post before they were deleted, blurred the names and emails. Look at this. They're like taking photos of their names and private information. Marriott has fired this individual, and hopefully they'll be charged because this is illegal. But you're seeing this all across Minneapolis as a community of lunatics, left-wingers, and Somalis try and lock down against the federal government that has every right to enforce the law there, including McDonald's now. McDonald's
in Minneapolis. There's a sign on the door that says ice is not allowed. We couldn't help but notice there's a sign that says no ice on the door.
Yeah, just to let you know, at the end of the day, this is private property. So you can't just break the law because you're a federal agent. It's like coming into your house or coming to any other restaurant. There's rules.
Did the manager put that on the door? How did that get there?
I'm not sure, but it's there.
How do you guys enforce it?
They read the sign. You know, at the end of the day, you have all right to come in and make a purchase. It's just there's rules and regulations. You can't just walk behind the counter.
There's rules and regulations. Oh, really? Okay. Well, how about the rules of McDonald's, which you are a franchisee of? Minneapolis McDonald's refusing ICE agents. We couldn't help but notice that there's a sign on the door that says no ICE. This is private property. This did millions of views, 6,000 reposts, and 11,000 likes. And everyone's saying, wow, I love this new trend. Keep calling stuff out. McDonald's has 24 hours to respond before a massive boycott. And McDonald's responded immediately, just like Marriott and just like Hilton. This proves that we have the cultural power. Watch this. We're in touch with the owner and operator of this franchise restaurant. We've confirmed this flyer was posted without approval. It has been taken down. This is what McDonald's has said. McDonald's saying that they will not discriminate against federal law enforcement. And that this is, of course, not allowed on the property. McDonald's restaurants in Minneapolis area are posting signs denying access to police or immigration officers. If you see one, contact ownership to determine where they are. Rogue employees are posting this without permission. So this is the sign. There you go. You're trespassing. Like I said, the sign outside of the McDonald's. So a bunch of employees, probably Somalis or whatever, have posted this. McDonald's security staff in Minneapolis physically obstructs ICE from entering.
Those are the same people that probably be spitting on their food and shit.
Look at this. Screaming at ICE to get out of the restaurant. Hey, McDonald's, what the hell is going on? I understand. Days of tolerating this crap are over. We will retaliate at the cash register. Moves like this most likely violate franchise agreement and negatively hurts every other McDonald's franchise. It should be interesting to see how corporate responds. Corporate responded now effectively saying, welcome back, and please allow Trump to make the fries again. Corporate McDonald's has said in a much longer and lengthier statement that there is no ban on law enforcement, that these were rogue employees doing this, and that anyone is welcome at McDonald's, and you can come in and get yourself a whole bag of seed oil and have a great time, as President Trump did back in this, what is without question the single greatest campaign stop in the history of the world. But it has been a non-stop psyop for us as we have been watching what the media has been trying to do in the wake of this attempted murder of an ICE agent. They're trying to make the murderer the victim and the victim the murderer. This is what happens. They're flipping it around. We're glad that corporate America is not going along with this stuff. Normally they're suckers for these kind of things. J.D. Vance going scorched earth at the White House yesterday, flaming the media to their faces over all this.
When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it. And that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile. What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the president of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The president stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before. And everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Damn. That is the truth. 80 Vance, man. 2028. Gotta do it. All right, let's keep it moving forward. Here we go.
Well, some major developments today in a story making national headlines. A grave robber targets an abandoned Delaware County cemetery, taking jewelry, bones, and entire bodies from the resting place.
Oh my God.
As his detectives walked into a horror come to life.
What?
Now, new courts reveal what tipped off investigators and what the suspect allegedly admitted to investigators. This now goes beyond Delco, with investigators heading to Ephrata to serve a search warrant.
And we do have team coverage tonight for you of this investigation. Let's zero in on the investigation right now. CBS Philadelphia Chief Investigative Reporter Joe Holden starting us off. Joe.
And good evening. This is a shocking case. Investigators tell me they've seen nothing like it in the past.
It has happened
named
many
Jonathan
times before.
Gerlach broke into an
Florida
unknown number of graves,
Florida.
mausoleums, and above-ground vaults here at Mount Moriah Cemetery and
Just look it
stole
up. Just
human
find out.
remains, according to investigators. We
Wow.
have video into our newsroom in the last hour showing investigators crawling about Gerlach's home in Ephrata. Police confirm the coroner there from Lancaster County is removing remains and will hold them until they are positively identified. They also confirm in court papers additional bones and 8 corpses were discovered in a storage locker. Meanwhile, here at Mount Moriah, the graves Gerlach allegedly preyed on, we're talking about old ornate mausoleums and large crypt-like vaults, many from the 1800s. They allege he used a crowbar, ropes to rappel, and ladders to climb down into and access caskets. Police say he then broke into the caskets and stole entire sets of human remains. Police in November got a tip, they say, from the Friends of Mount Moriah. This is an abandoned cemetery that sits on the Yaden and Southwest Philadelphia line. Investigators say they were able to lift DNA off an energy drink can that was left behind. Police then set up a sting and arrested Gerlach after they say he broke into even more graves. He was
Wow.
found to be in possession of human remains when taken into custody,
Wow.
according to investigators. The chief of Yaden police said they wanted to catch Gerlach red-handed. Police say Gerlach admitted to taking 30 sets of remains from Mount Moriah and
Oh my
storing
God.
them inside his Ephrata home.
You know, it was horrendous. Rest in peace means rest in peace, and unfortunately, these people are not resting in peace anymore. And we're trying.
I don't want to be buried, man.
Put this all back together as best as
Fuck
we
that.
can.
I'd rather be
Some
cremated.
of the graves we saw today were visibly disturbed, and some were even still open. The Baker Mausoleum had fresh
Fuck
concrete
that.
ceiling and
I'm
entryway. At this resting place, Gerlach is alleged to have taken
motherfucker like this.
16
Your body.
of remains. So investigators are now beginning to identify the remains in hopes to return them to their rightful resting places. Yaden police want to hear from family members who know that their loved ones are buried in 2 distinct locations here, mausoleums and those above ground crypts/vaults. They have an email address that they would like people to reach out to. We have that for you right now at cbsphiladelphia.com. Live outside Mount Moriah Cemetery, Joe Holden, CBS News, Philadelphia.
All right, Joe, thank you so much.
Wow.
Well, after uncovering some of the disturbing details that we're hearing about in this case that Joe just talked about, we learned that selling and buying human bones is perfectly legal in most states.
And investigative reporter Liz Crawford
Louisiana
looked into this for us.
is legal.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty legal.
it's the majority of states, unless, of course, there is a crime involved. Now, we're told that someone who buys any type of human remains that has been obtained illegally could also face charges. But there appear to be ways to legitimately purchase human bones and other items. Now, after a simple internet search, we found a handful of companies that sell human bones of all kinds. On the site johnsbones.com, it says bones are collected for educational and artistic purposes, and they strive to make the ability to study skeletal remains accessible to all.
Yeah,
the
but that
founder of
should
the company
be
said they mostly sell to schools
for
and
certain people,
universities,
not
and they get
for
thousands
everybody.
of requests a month from people looking to sell bones, but they only buy medically prepared remains.
The color, the patina, the hardware, and any type of stamps or seals that would show that would be medically prepared by one of the original companies. If we do not see this indicators in the bones, we do not work with those types of remains.
Well, and I'll tell you, the prices for many of these items have a very wide range, some very expensive. We saw human skulls for up to $4,000, a femur bone for $260, a full skeleton up to 10 grand. By the way, we did find out today that some websites like Facebook and eBay, they have banned the sale of human remains over the years. So really, really fascinating.
Wow.
Really is. Who would have thought there's a market for something like this? Yeah.
Wow, I'm just shaking my head the whole time. Liz, thank you so much.
It's crazy, but it's true. But here's the last two videos of the night. We're going to go back to back, and it's going to be Tyson de la Cruz. So let's get to it.
She was shot and killed by ICE agents Wednesday in a snowy residential neighborhood in Minneapolis in front of a family member.
America, a 37-year-old mother named Renee Nicole Good is dead in Minneapolis after driving her car at federal ICE agents. But here's what the media won't tell you. She wasn't protecting her family. She wasn't defending her home. She spent her day aggregating federal officers who were conducting immigration enforcement. Now her child grows up without a mother because anti-ICE propaganda convinced her to throw her life away for strangers who wouldn't even do the same for her.
Protests continue this morning. This after a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, and it is getting contentious this morning with chemical irritants being sprayed at protesters.
What is up, guys? Tyson de la Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is what happens when Democrat politicians and media turn immigration enforcement into a death cult where people literally sacrifice their lives and their family for political theater. Let me break down what actually happened here because the lamestream media is lying to you about every single detail here. Renee Nicole Good spent her entire day on January 8th aggregating federal officers, not protecting anybody, not defending her community, not trying to help the homeless, not trying to stop violent shootings that are happening in Minnesota through Somalia gangs, just aggregating to aggregate. Here's what we know. Action operation at that moment. They were helping another vehicle that was stuck in the snow, but Good decided to interfere, allegedly driving her vehicle towards an armed federal officer. Now she's dead. She left behind a wife and a child. Yes, I said a wife and a child. For what? For political theater based on lies from MSNBC, MSDNC, CNN that fed her every single day.
A lot of these protesters continuing to yell at these agents and tell them to leave Minnesota.
Look at the rage. These people are so programmed by anti-ICE propaganda. They can't even think rational anymore. They're defending people they know nothing about while attacking federal agents just trying to do their job. And here's my question. Why was she even there in the first place? Exactly. What compelled a mother to leave her child and spend her day harassing federal law enforcement? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something here. It is apparent to me that she had no masculine. Absolutely insane. Apparently, her wife is not masculine enough. Just maybe if she had somebody with the courage to say, "What the are you doing? Your child needs you alive." This tragedy perhaps could have been prevented. But that's not how the radical left operates. They encourage this type of reckless behavior. Like, hey, let me get pepper sprayed. I want to get pepper sprayed. They celebrate it. They turn foolish activism into theater. I'm going to tell you guys something here that's going to blow your mind. You can take one look at that bullet hole on the windshield and identify exactly where the ICE agent was standing when the shots were fired. The trajectory, the angle, the impact point. It tells a very compelling story that completely contradicts the lamestream media narrative.
In this disturbing video, Good behind the wheel of this maroon Honda SUV in the street, appearing to block the road. Federal agent shouting demands, an ICE agent grabbing the door. She backs up and puts the vehicle in drive. Then, an agent standing in front of her firing multiple rounds, including through the windshield. From this other angle, you can see the officer in front of the SUV. As the car turns away and moves forward, shots fired.
Look at that footage carefully. The agent is standing directly in front of the vehicle. She slightly backs up, then puts the car in drive, and then moves forward towards him. That's when he fired shots. This isn't murder. It is self-defense against a vehicle being used as a weapon. The wheels here are spinning pretty fast. The Trump administration got this exactly right. DHS Secretary Christie Nome said the agent feared for his life and the shooting was justified, which I can agree with. Because here's the reality that Democrats don't want you to understand. A car is a deadly weapon. When you drive a 4,000 plus pound vehicle at a federal agent, any officer for that matter, you're attempting to kill or cause some serious bodily harm. This is textbook self-defense, but the media is calling it an execution, a murder. These are the words that they're using. They're lying to you, and they know that they're lying to you. Here's what the lamestream media refuses to report. ICE agents face violent attacks constantly. Just 6 months ago, an ICE agent was dragged more than 300 feet by a vehicle during an arrest. He needed 33 stitches. He almost died. That agent, he's the same one involved in this Minneapolis shooting. Think about that for a second, guys. This man was nearly killed doing his job 6 months ago, and now he's being attacked again by somebody using a vehicle as a weapon. You think maybe, just maybe, he's a little sensitive about cars being driven at him?
And it was all caught on camera. According to a federal complaint, agents were executing a warrant for 39-year-old Roberto Carlos Munoz. They say Munoz entered the country unlawfully, and he also pled guilty to fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct back in 2023 for abusing a minor.
That's what they're
Tuesday morning,
protecting?
agents pulled him over. Court documents say he repeatedly refused to comply. In this video, you can see the driver take off with the agent hanging from the car, dragging him 300 feet.
Look at that. That is attempted murder. The agent was hospitalized with significant injuries, and the person who did this, you guessed it, an illegal hombre, an illegal immigrant convicted of sexually assaulting a minor who had been released in Minnesota under Governor Tampon Tim Walz's sanctuary policies. So let me connect the dots for you. Minnesota releases a child rapist instead of turning him over to deportation. That criminal tries to kill an ICE agent. 6 months later, that same agent defends himself when somebody else drives a car at him. And now all of us Democrats are calling him a murderer. This is the insanity. ICE agents are doing their job correctly. They're enforcing federal law while facing constant threats of violence from criminals. And J.D. Vance absolutely demolished the lamestream media's false narrative about the shooting. And this is one of the most powerful moments that I've ever seen from this administration.
Everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you.
That's the righteous anger we need from our leaders. Vance is calling out every single person in the media who's lying about this particular case.
What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
Exactly. I'm seeing it over and over and over again. The media headlines say ICE officer killed U.S. citizen, but they conveniently leave out that this agent nearly had his life ended 6 months ago when he was dragged by a car. They leave out that he needed 33 stitches in his leg.
What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job.
This is the key point that nobody's talking about. Renee Good wasn't some random person who happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. She was part of a broader left-wing network. This is an organization. This is all coordinated. This is domestic terrorism using propaganda techniques. We've heard this before. This is what we call the woke mind virus. When propaganda becomes so toxic, when people literally sacrifice their life and families for quote unquote political points. Renee Good didn't die protecting her child. She died because Democrat politicians convinced her that ICE agents are the enemy. Think about the insanity of this particular situation. She is a wife to a wife and a mother. She had responsibilities. She had people who depended on her, but she chose to spend her day harassing federal agents who were helping somebody stuck in a car. This is mainly rhetoric gone completely off the rails. The left has created an entire environment where interfering with federal law enforcement is seen as heroic, where attacking ICE agents is celebrated. We're dying for illegal immigrants you don't even know is considered noble. It's complete trash.
But it's still really scary to see our friends and teachers get tear gassed.
These kids are terrified of ICE agents, not because ICE did anything to them, because they've been brainwashed to believe that immigration enforcement is evil. This is what propaganda does. It creates irrational fear and hatred towards people who are just enforcing the law. And I'm going to hit a homer with this harsh reality. The people that Renee Good was defending wouldn't do the same for her. You don't see Somalia communities in Minneapolis organizing to defend white Americans. You don't see illegal immigrants putting their lives on the line for U.S. citizens. This is a one-way street of misplaced loyalty. Now let's talk about the political leadership that created this disaster. Minnesota Governor Timmy Tampon Walz has been one of the most vocal critics of ICE enforcement, and his rhetoric is directly responsible for creating this hostile environment that got Renee Good killed.
I've not used inflammatory terms of what happened. Well, I said this yesterday. We've never been at war with our federal government.
Let's check the receipts.
When things looked really bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held that line for the nation. On that July 3rd, 1863. And I think now we may be in that moment that the nation's looking to us to hold the line on democracy.
This guy is comparing ICE enforcement to the Battle of Gettysburg. He's telling Minnesotans they have to hold the line against federal government. That's not inflammatory. That's not creating a war mentality. This is what Timmy Tampon's rhetoric produces. Violence. We saw that with the George Floyd. Chaos. Dead Americans. He created an environment where people think attacking ICE agents is patriotic, when interfering with law enforcement is quote unquote heroic, where dying for illegal immigrants is noble. Renee Good made a choice. She chose strangers over her child. Think about that. She chose political theater over parental responsibility.
Yeah,
Think about that. She
the road.
chose to aggregate federal agents instead of being there for her family. And for what? What did her death accomplish? Did it help a single person? Did it change any policies? Did it protect anyone? No, it was a senseless waste of life caused by political manipulation. Your first responsibility is to your children, not to strangers who broke our immigration law. No political cause is worth orphaning your child. This is basic common sense, you guys, that the radical left seems to have completely abandoned. America, we're watching propaganda literally kill people. When government officials and media convince the citizens that ICE agents are the enemy, when they turn immigration enforcement into a moral crisis, when they celebrate interference with federal law enforcement, people die. The pattern here is crystal clear. Democrat politicians create sanctuary policies that protect criminals. Those criminals attack ICE agents. When agents defend themselves, Democrats call them murderers. Meanwhile, American citizens like Renee Good get brainwashed into sacrificing their life for people who don't give a damn about them.
You people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself.
The Constitution protects federal agents doing their job. ICE has the legal authority to enforce immigration law. When you interfere with that enforcement, when you drive a car at an armed agent, you're going to face the consequences. It's not justice. That is reality. Liberals, stop being mortars for politicians that don't give a crap about you. Literally, they do not care about you. Stop defending criminals while attacking law enforcement. Stop putting political activism above your freaking family. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Great upload. We're going to go to the last video of the night. We're going to go straight to it.
A 74-year-old man found outside an alleged unlicensed assisted living home covered in maggots. Another 77-year-old man discovered lying in a bed covered in feces, a soiled diaper found in his mouth.
Caught Baltimore running massive nonprofit fraud schemes, and now we've uncovered something even more sinister. They're trafficking seniors for their Social Security benefits while their state government watches and does absolutely nothing.
We're discovering older adults are being trafficked for their Social Security benefits, veterans benefits, labor, sex, and possibly body parts.
Maryland's healthcare department has received over 13,000 complaints about these facilities in just 3 years, and they've only referred 2 cases for prosecution. Meanwhile, Governor Wes Moore's office, radio silence.
As part of our ongoing investigation into senior trafficking allegations involving vulnerable adults in unlicensed assisted living facilities, our team has attempted to speak with Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Investigation seniors here in the state of Maryland are living. I'm sorry.
Rocking with me, we're about to expose a $1 billion underground industry that's been operating in Maryland neighborhoods for years, while state officials deliberately look the other way. Let me break down exactly how this trafficking operation works, because it's a lot more sophisticated than you think and a lot more evil than you can imagine. These traffickers have well-oiled machines, a literal playbook for exploiting vulnerable seniors.
These traffickers, they have no morals. They will recruit
vulnerable seniors from hospitals, homeless shelters, jails, churches, and even public benefit offices. They promise safe housing and care, but once the seniors enter the system, they become absolute cash cows for these businesses, trading between facilities like baseball cards. Maryland has identified 119 suspected unlicensed facilities operating in just Baltimore City alone. These aren't some kind of small-time operations. We're talking about seniors packed into basements, anywhere from 14 to 20 people living in a single space with basically nothing.
It kind of sheds light on the seriousness of what this is. Yes, this is money, and yes, this is government benefits, but these are people.
And here's the sick part about this. These operators charge anywhere from $600 to $1,000 per month just for residential services, excluding additional services, capturing residents' Social Security and disability benefits, while licensed facilities cost upwards to $4,000, excluding additional services. We're talking like pill management, therapy, things like that. The gap creates billion-dollar underground economies that Maryland officials have known about, get this, since 2019. When we catch Baltimore and nonprofit fraud allegations, now we find out they're trafficking seniors. Now, let me tell you guys about Daniel Jenkins, an 85-year-old man with dementia whose death exposes exactly how deadly this system really is.
On March 3rd, 2019, Baltimore police found 85-year-old Daniel Jenkins dead on Edison Highway in the city's east side. Court records show the elderly man who had dementia wandered away from the unlicensed assisted living home.
This is absolutely wild. Jenkins was placed in an unlicensed assisted living home on North Learn Street. 4 days later, he wandered away. Nearly 12 hours. No one reported him missing to the police. When his daughters called asking about their father, the staff told them he was fine, adjusting, and was with staff. He wasn't with staff. He was alone, cold, wandering the streets of East Baltimore. Police found him dead from hypothermia. An autopsy confirmed he froze to death while the facility lied to the family about his particular whereabouts. This case is one of the rare Maryland prosecutions revealed this particular playbook. Investigators found operators housed more than 100 vials of residents' prescription medications in her car. Workers were paid $50 a week under the table and lived in the same rooms as the people that they were supposed to supervise. This is racketeering. This is organized crime. And Maryland's government responsibility response? They made it a felon to operate unlicensed facilities in 2023. Guess how many prosecutions have happened since then? Zero. Not a single prosecution, despite hundreds and hundreds of complaints.
Class action lawsuit filed against the agency last year alleges the health department failed to respond to half of more than 13,000 complaints received 3 years prior.
Let me repeat that just in case you guys didn't hear that. 13,000 complaints about vulnerable seniors being abused, neglected, and exploited. The state health department responded to only half. And of those they did investigate, they referred only 2 cases for prosecution since 2023, since the law was made a particular felony. When reporters pressed Maryland's Deputy Secretary of Health about why unlicensed operators are allowed to continue operating, she gave the most bureaucratic non-answer that I've ever heard.
Why would there be any ability for people to continue to operate one and not refer it and follow the law?
So first, I want to just thank you again for putting a spotlight on this issue. I think I also cannot emphasize enough that we believe every facility that is operating needs to be following the appropriate statutes and laws. And if it's providing services that require a license, it needs to have a license.
Why would you guys continue to allow operators to find and seek out a license when the agency and the AG said that we have to close that loophole?
I think as you're highlighting, just to, again, this is an issue that is an incredible priority for us.
This is an incredible priority to us. Translation, we don't care. We're not doing anything about it. And we hope you stop asking questions.
This is either indifference or just lack of caring.
Maryland State Delegate Mike Griffiths says the lack of direct answers by the state health department is unacceptable.
Until we start holding people accountable in these institutionalized positions, we're not going to see any type of change.
Now let's talk about Governor Wes Moore, the man who campaigned on leaving nobody behind. But he spent months dodging questions about seniors being trafficked in his own state. Spotlight on Maryland spent a month negotiating a sit-down interview with the governor. They accepted all of his terms. Then, the day before the scheduled interview, Moore's office abruptly canceled and tried to substitute his chief of staff instead.
Look, after a month of negotiations with this office, that interview was abruptly canceled and shifted to you. Do Marylanders deserve to hear from their governor on this critical issue?
I think the governor has responded to questions on this, and certainly the governor's office, especially the Maryland Department of Health, who specifically works on this issue. We're the subject matter experts who can both specifically talk to the details of the issue.
When reporters drove to the New Year's Eve rescheduled interview, Moore's team made another abrupt change, switching to his public relations officer instead. So instead of hearing from the elected governor, Marylanders got a PR flack reading talking points. To summarize everything, here are the talking points. File complaints with the health department, same health department that ignored 13,000 complaints and referred only 2 prosecutions.
Because the only way we can solve a problem is if we know about a problem. So I would encourage your audience and the public to go to the Maryland Department of Health website and file if they see something that they're concerned about, they should file complaints so we can investigate it thoroughly.
This, my friends, is gaslighting at its finest. We only solve problems we know about, except you've known about this problem since 2019 when Daniel Jenkins froze to death. You received 13,000 complaints. You've conducted multiple audits. You've had city fire departments discover unlicensed facilities during emergency calls. The problem isn't that you didn't know. The problem is that you don't care. So how does a billion-dollar senior trafficking industry operate in plain sight for years? It's a perfect storm for government failure. And I'm going to break down exactly what's broken.
So before that, they would just say, like, get out of here, call my lawyer, where's your warrant, kind of thing. But now we have right of entry at that point.
First, Maryland doesn't have any right of entry laws like Hawaii. That means when health inspectors show up at suspected unlicensed facilities, operators can literally tell them to get lost and call their lawyer. Without a warrant, inspectors have no authority to enter. Second, Maryland doesn't publicly list operators of unlicensed facilities like Florida and Tennessee do. So these traffickers can operate completely. Your neighbor could be running one of these operations and you'd never even know. Third, Maryland's health department is woefully understaffed. When you ask how many inspectors investigate unlicensed facilities, the deputy secretary can't even answer the question. She has no idea how many inspectors they have or what their caseloads actually look like.
With how many current inspectors do we have that are investigating assisted living facility? That exact number with me right now, but we can get that back to you.
Fourth, and most importantly, zero law. And Maryland made it crystal clear, allow seniors to be trafficked, then risk being called a racist for investigating predominantly immigrant-run facilities. America, an attorney who litigates elderly abuse cases, said it perfectly.
What we have is a quiet generation slowly slipping away, and nobody's noticing. If this was children or millennials screaming in the streets and marching, you would see much more attention to it.
If this was happening to children, there will be federal task forces to fix it. But because it's something happening to elderly people, many of them poor, disabled, or suffering from dementia, Maryland's government treats it like an work problem. Governor was behind, but he left benefits. He's left behind the family of Daniel Jenkins, who froze to death while an unlicensed operator lied about his whereabouts. He left behind 13,000 complaints that his health department simply ignored. This isn't about resources or staffing. Hawaii fixed this problem with simple right of entry laws. This is simply about political will. And Maryland Democrats have made their choice. Protecting politically connected operators matters more than protecting vulnerable seniors. Let me know what you guys think about it. Smash the
was here. I'm gonna bring it back to me. I don't know. The ending was a little weird there, but I'm gonna be wrapping up the show now. So everything's going a little weird. I don't know. The internet could be under attack right now, you know, because there's a lot of crazy shit going on. And usually when the internet starts acting a little weird, there's some cyber attacks happening as I speak. So with that said, I'm out of here. You guys have a great weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to come on in the weekend. I like to take the weekends off, but if something happens, the best bet I'll be here. With that said, have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night, and I'll catch you on the flip side. And like I said, have a great weekend. See y'all later. Peace.